All right, everybody, welcome NorCal Sports Network. And it's another loss, another game, another loss for the Giants. And we welcome in Cody B from Even Year Dynasty Show. Welcome, Cody. Thanks for joining. And guys, this is just going to be, just get used to this. They got 22 games left. They're playing out the string. What you're looking for is not so much victories. You're looking for development from the young guys. And you can care less what guys like Yaz, Conforto, even Wade. I mean, look, we've seen enough of these guys. So if they all of a sudden get hot, let's say, oh, this is a good carryover for next year. We need to bring Wade back in the starting lineup at the first baseman. We need Yaz, the starting right fielder. No, you're looking for development of the players. You're looking for bats like Luciano did tonight. He didn't get the hits, but he fought gallantly and he made the pitchers make some pitches. Didn't barrel the ball up there in the ninth, hit the pop up there to Suarez at third, but at least he didn't strike out. He fought, and the kids just needed bats, and that's kind of what September is now. And the team, I think they've waved the white flag. It appears, symbolically at least. So anyway, Cody, what's your thoughts? Oh, you're muted. You got your mic muted there.
Perfect. There we go. Yeah. I think you said it. Get used to this, everyone. We're probably going to see some struggles. Might see some good things that are encouraging out of some of the young guys, but we're probably going to see a lot of stuff like this. And it's not going to necessarily be pretty, but this is the time to do it. The time really was a month plus ago, but it's time. We need to stop caring about wins and losses for the next month. And I know that's hard to say and stomach for a lot of people because we do want to see the team do well. No one wants to see this team go down the drain, but we've reached the point where playing the kids for the last month, the last 22 games, you said, it matters more, so.
Yeah. And, one of the things I would encourage everyone out there to do, if you guys are, I know most of you are Giants fans. There's a few Dodger fans in here and maybe some other teams, but what I would encourage you guys to really do next year when you watch baseball is pick up the MLB package. I mean, we live in a streaming world now, okay? Everything is streaming. If you want to watch a lot of baseball and then you get an idea when we say the Giants are just not a good team, if you watch a lot of baseball and you watch other teams, you'll see it. It's not like if I only watched the Giants play and that was my only perspective of watching 162 and I saw nothing but the teams they played, I would have a skewed opinion because I would think like, oh, well, these guys got talent. They got ability. They just need to come through, if runners in scoring position, if they would just get that extra hit, maybe 6-8 more times, maybe they're no longer 4 games under 500, but they're 7, 8, 10 over. And that's how you look at things. But if you watch other teams and how they play the game and how teams, the Giants are just poorly constructed because their roster without Jung-Hoo Lee is 98% swing and miss. And that's why you look at the runners in scoring position, you go, well, how come they are always 1 for 14, 3 for 12? What is it? And why is Chapman constantly striking out with runners in scoring position or popping up or hitting into a double play, but he hits got 22 homers? Because a lot of Chapman's hits are what I would call hollow. They're the definition of what the NBA classifies as garbage time stats. Guys come in the game's meaningless. Guys pile up a double-double in 5 minutes. They just, they get 10 points or whatever, they're getting rebounds or whatever. It's just Chapman's is a really good ball player. I'm not saying that to disparage him, But I will say this about Matt Chapman. If you get some stars around him, I would welcome him to be on this team because he becomes that much more valuable. But when you have Matt Chapman on this type of team with a lot of swing and miss, it exasperates his struggles at the plate with runners in scoring position. And it's hence why Giants don't even have a 70 RBI guy this year right now. And he bats fourth and fifth for the primary part of the season. And, you look at a lot of teams' RBIs and you see guys that, Spencer Steer, for example, guy's almost at 100 RBIs for the Reds. His batting average is pretty much near Chapman's.
I think he missed a chunk of the season too.
Yeah.
He at least one IL stint.
Yeah, it's just bizarre how this team does not hit with runners in scoring position. So my point is, my advice to you guys, if you love baseball, go out. It's about $100, 125 maybe max for the whole. I think it's 99 for one team and for the whole league, like 125, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. Heck, if you have T-Mobile, it's free. I'm pretty sure a lot of times.
Yes, I have T-Mobile, and I got reimbursed this year because I had switched to T-Mobile. But look, I can go right now onto the MLB app there, and it'll open up, and I'll go to scores, and right now I want to go watch the the Padres Tigers game because it's the bottom of the ninth, and it's tied up at 5. And I'll turn my volume down so I don't get in trouble. But it's a commercial. But, the game will be coming on here in the bottom of the ninth. And I can watch the Giants on the 75-inch screen. And I can pull up my phone and I can watch any game I want. And I get to see some of the best games. So if you love baseball, you should really just invest in or switch to T-Mobile. I'm not selling T-Mobile. I don't get any benefit out of it, but I want to see my guys watch baseball in this chat. I want you guys to really be baseball aficionados, not just Giants. Because, all right, here's the bottom of the ninth. Jake Cronenworth, look, leading off. There you go, right there, guys. Just watch the game. Plus, you pay $30 a year. You get the MILB.
I was just going to suggest that too.
Yeah, you get the 30.
It's really good.
You get all the. You get the Sacramento River Cats. You get the Richmond Flying Squirrels. You get the Eugene Emeralds, and you even get the San Jose Giants. You get all 4 branches of the Giants. So this is what Cody does, and this is why we like to have him on too, because we get the full report. Because this guy is a grinder when it comes to the minor leagues, man. He's watching all of the games and sometimes flipping back and forth because they're on at the same time.
At the very least, I try and get back and watch, like if I miss it, because, a lot of them are playing at the same time. So I don't catch the entirety of a lot of the games. So I'll try and hop back and watch some of the at-bats and just see the at-bat quality, even if I know what happened. It's like, let's just see what it looked like,
Yeah. Yeah, the MILB, minor, whatever that minor league international. I don't know what the I is for, but anyway, what they you don't get the greatest quality video feeds. The video feeds can be a little bit, especially the lower level.
Yeah,
but AAA is not too bad.
AAA is honestly like a mid to late 2000s game.
Yeah,
quality wise, it's actually a lot of times it's in high definition, but it's just the camera work. Is great.
It kind of feels like when I'm watching the A League or the low. It looks like my old camcorder that used to sit on my shoulder when I was in the 80s, and I'm moving it around and I'm getting these low pixels and.
Sometimes it's like the guy using it is like watching the ball, but he forgets to move the camera with it. And he's like,
Yeah,
oh, whoops.
exactly. Exactly. But good to see everybody in the chat, guys. We are, here after every Giants game, and I've got my Arizona Diamondbacks hat on. As you can see behind me, the standings of the league here, and I might have to update some of it, but because I haven't done it as much the last day or two, but I wear the winning hat here. Last night I couldn't do it though with Bobby Evans. I didn't. What are you wearing a Diamondbacks hat for? So I just put on my generic DC hat. But yeah. I lost my phone here. My battery went dead. Cody, take over. I got to see what's going on, and so go ahead and cover this, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, I mean, rough loss today. The one thing that I bring up as far as a question regarding this team is, and this is where a lot of my concerns with this team currently and going forward is, what do the Giants do well? Like you look around the entire, everything they do, whether it's pitch, hit, defense, make just winning baseball plays in general. Like what do they do well? And I mean, I looked up and down the stat sheets, up and down, you just watching them, it's pretty apparent. But, I look up and down everything they do. And the only thing I can find where they're like tops in the league in anything or near the top is pitches per at bat that they face or that when they're up to bat. I mean, this offense truly does nothing well other than get pitches out of the opposing pitcher. I mean, it's bad. They're slow. They have no power, or at least very limited power, average power. They can't make explosive plays. They can't manufacture runs. They're absolutely atrocious in situational at bats. I mean, it's just frustrating to watch. It's just truly a team that is just at best average at a lot of different things and not great at anything. So,
yeah,
one of my big plays this season.
Yeah, one of the things we probably should just do a quick breakdown, look at the why don't we look at the box score here and just take a look at the. By the way, Zach Gallen ended up going 6 innings with no hit ball. Did walk 4, but basically had his stuff working for him. Looked like the old Zach Gallen. Giants, here's their lineup for tonight, guys. Yaz 0 for 2. The leadoff spot got nothing. Actually, the top 3 spots in the order had no hits. So combined 0 for 10 between the top 3 guys. And then Fitzgerald was 2 for 4. Wade 2 for 4, drove in all 4 runs tonight. Matos and the bottom of the order was, so it was all the middle of the order tonight. It was the middle 3 and the top 3 and the bottom 3. Top 3 combined 0 for 10. The bottom 4 actually was a combined 0 for 11. And if you factor in Bailey's pinch hit, 0 for 12. So really the only guys that hit were the 5 and 6 guys, or 4 and 5. Yeah, 4 and 5. Odd lineup to me tonight. I know they missed Chapman late scratch, but Fitzgerald in the cleanup, just a little strange to me. But I mean, if I was doing this lineup tonight, I don't know. I kind of like. I probably would have went, well, whatever. Go Yaz. Then I would have went Fitzgerald 2, Ramos 3, Conforto 4. Maybe move Matos in the 5 spot, Wade 6. I don't know. It is what it is, Cody. Like you said, they can't hit. The only thing they really do well is work pitches out of the pitcher. It's guys. This is the time of year when things actually start to get worse. We got a funny comment in here.
He said they're great at stranding runners in scoring position. He found the one thing they're great at doing.
Who said that?
Turd Ferguson.
Oh yeah, they're great at they are great at that. Yeah, that is the probably one of the best in baseball. That if we're doing it reverse order, they're probably the
Yeah.
number one team.
Yeah. They're great at not stealing bases. They're
Yeah, guys, it's a philosophy. Other teams. You look at the Brewers. You look at the Diamondbacks teams. I mean, the Diamondbacks have a lot of guys that can hit, and the Brewers are starting to hit too. The Brewers are the only team that I looked at when I looked at the standings that are a playoff team that doesn't have one so-called real star player. I mean, it's too early to call Corbin Carroll a superstar or even Ketel Marte, but they play at that level for a lot of the season, especially Marte's this year. And then Carroll, the last month, is starting to play like he did last year. And you got players like that. And, Milwaukee, Cody, was the only team that doesn't have this standout star that's winning. But what they do differently, they run. They steal bases. They get on base. They don't always go for the bomb. The Giants, you look at the Giants players, their only guy that I can say that's on the current team that really tries to maybe change his swing for contact, that Buck bears down with 2 strikes. And I hate to say this because he's not part of the future, but it looks like Mark Canha is a guy that's going to be able to put bat on the ball instead of but you look at the rest of them, they're all trying to they don't change their swing. They just go for it. That's why Chapman strikes out a lot. Fitzgerald, even Ramos strikes out a lot. This is why your team doesn't score. Now, you need a couple guys like Jung-Hoo Lee that can just actually make contact that don't have the power. I mean, your power guys are your power guys. And Ramos with a full season is going to hit you 25 homers probably. And Chapman looks like he's right in that area. They don't really have much until the one man we'll show you a little later gets here. But this is Cody, I've done an analysis of this team and I've told my audience here, I think you're going to have to expect more of the same next year unless they do something drastic. I don't see this team getting better. I see it worse next year because Snell's going to be gone. And now you have one reliable pitcher in Webb. You can't count on, we don't know what Ray will do. Ray might come back stronger. He might be, I don't think he's as good as Snell, but he might be, he's probably better than Harrison. And next year I'm talking about Birdsong and whoever else they fill. But if they don't make serious trades for star hitters, and I know there's people out there, doing shows talking about Soto's, and they're gonna just play up Soto for every day of the year until he doesn't sign here. That is, if you're relying on Soto to turn this around, I mean, could it be done? Yeah, but you got to understand the economics of the game. The Giants owners aren't going to go out and just throw wild money. They should, but they won't. If they did, it would be a welcome surprise. But I don't see Soto coming here. Do you?
No, I don't. I don't see this ownership group. Like, it's not even about Farhan or whoever is running the team when free agency starts. Like, I don't see this ownership group willing to go to the lengths it will require to outbid both the Yankees and the Mets by a significant margin in order to get him. Because he's not going to come just because he wants to be in San Francisco. Like, I'm not going to be delusional about that. Like, if he comes, it's because the Giants offered like an astronomical number that's way above everyone else.
Right. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get why people are saying it. I mean, it's a good thing to dream and think about, But I don't think the ownership will do that because they didn't do it with Judge. And Judge was the guy they might have really had a shot at. We knew what the Yankees offer was going to be. We heard Michael Kay, if you listen, go back 2 years ago, said the Yankees have a number in mind where they will not keep going. And it was $400 million. And all his Judge wanted was to get paid by the Yankees what he felt he was worth. And that's why the Yankees were right around 8 years and 320. And the Giants came in at 9,360. And he went back to the Yankees and they matched. And the Padres offered 400. But he wanted to be a Yankee. Have the Giants just come out and said, you know what? We want Judge at all costs.
Here's 10 for 450.
Exactly. Had they done that in the beginning instead of jacked around and played around and tried to gauge where the market was going to settle for him, they might have had a shot because the Yankees would have come back and said, we can't go that high. And he might have at that point said, you know what? San Francisco's where I grew up being a fan of. I got family here. My parents are out at, what was that? Linden? Yeah, Linden.
Yeah, I think Linden.
And his wife's family was from the Linden area. They went to Fresno State. They met there. They might have come back. And then this year, we matched Ohtani. Okay, think about this, guys. Ohtani lives in Southern California playing with the Angels. And he's got a chance to play with a guaranteed, unless, the entire team, I don't want to use a horrible death analogy. I'll just use, they all come down with, Montezuma's revenge for 4 months and they can't play. The Dodgers are going to the playoffs. Okay. So Ohtani is, and for Farhan to insult the intelligence of the San Francisco Giants fans and say, well, we gave him the same offer. Yeah. Okay. Wait, let's see. I got the Dodgers who've won the division every year since 2013, with the exception of 2021, and they beat the Giants in the playoffs. And I can play with Freeman and Betts and Will Smith and Max Muncy, and I can stay in my home, or I can go to this, place called San Francisco where I have to worry about my car when I in the streets being broken into or whatever. And I'm going to go play in the cold, and I'm going to play for a team that hasn't been to the playoffs since only once since 21. That's why I'm leaving Anaheim. I want to be in the playoffs. And for Farhan to say, we gave him the same offer, we're just we did our best. Come on. It's like you would have had to offer, and he may have still turned you down. And that's probably maybe what really happened is they did offer him a boatload more of money, and they were too embarrassed to say he turned it down, because then it's like, wow, no one wants to come here.
I hate the whole we did our best thing, because you know who whines about their best?
Losers.
So it drives me insane.
Oh, it's absolutely nuts. It's nuts. So to dream and think Soto is going to come to the Giants, you're just going to be disappointed. Your best bet, and you know what? I was disappointed. I bought into the Judge. He fooled me. I bought into the hotel thing, and that he's coming, man. It was all a setup to get the Yankees to increase their bid. And so last year,
it was like he learned from it, because he goes and dumps a bunch of money in front of Correa. Like, he's like, okay, fine, I'll do what's necessary to get Correa, and then he backs out. And I mean, we could, argue about it was clearly justified given another franchise did the same thing. But it's like, it's like he learned, and then it's like he had a year to marinate on it again, and then he's like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to overbid for someone.
No. I think Judge would have taken a little less too. I do. He wanted to be a Yankee. look, you're going after historic guys. The Giants, the reason they got Barry Bonds is, Barry's from here. Went to San Mateo. He grew up in San Mateo. His dad was a ball player. You also had different times back then in 93. And you had Peter McGowan, who basically went out and got him. But Peter McGowan was not just a ownership group guy. He loved baseball. The ballpark is kind of built after the old style of the Polo Grounds. There's different things that Peter McGowan loved, being from New York. And look, guys, Peter McGowan today, if he were alive and he was running this team would look a whole lot different because he loves the game. Today's owners, look, you got a bunch of guys that are just in it for the real estate money, and they're real estate investors. And, exactly, Robert, you make a great point. When Bonds came here, you had Will Clark, you had Matt Williams, homegrown stars.
Yeah. He had protection.
Yeah. I mean, that was a heck of a lineup. And, you look at the teams that went to the World Series in 2002. It was stacked. Kent, Bonds, Burks, JT Snow. I mean, you had hitters, Rich Aurelia. You had guys that could hit the stinking ball. Now, the Giants' issue is they have nobody to protect Soto. Maybe Ramos, but that's not enough.
But then you have no one to protect Ramos.
Yeah.
This is the endless problem they have.
Two guys.
Yes.
And I understand, the talk of, and I agree with it, I agree with the take of, I would do the same thing. I would want Guerrero and I would want Soto. And now you have a nucleus. And then I'm okay with Chapman. Okay, go ahead and sign Chapman. Yeah. And now you can protect Chapman a little bit better. You don't have to put him in the top 5. But you know what, guys? We don't know what you watched Corbin Carroll struggle mightily this year. How about Julio Rodriguez struggle? You don't know what Fitzgerald and Ramos are going to do next year.
Yeah.
I mean, you would hope that they continue where they're at now and that they can play to the level that they've been playing and get even better. But there's a possibility that those two guys regress.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if we did this exercise, guys, Giants this year pack it in. They're 4 under. They're 68 and 72 now, right? Is that
sounds right?
Let me look. 68 and I got it right here. Standings. Actually, I could have pulled it up on the screen here. Let me just do that. Oh, here we go. Phone's back on. Standings. Giants are 68 and 72. I think they end up with 77 wins, maybe not even that, guys. This is going to could get ugly because what happens is teams go to youth. The youth starts playing, and you see errors and you see miscues, and then you see the team, the vets, start to kind of mail it in. They know that, look, they're kind of like, we're looking to, guys that are just, they're just, and a lot of teams, look, and I've talked to this. I've talked to guys in the game that have run teams, they will say what's one of the struggles is on struggling teams is in the month of September. Sometimes vets, if they don't, let's just say they don't have a great fondness for or respect for who's running the organization. Sometimes they won't go all out for you. It's a fact of life. Is like, if, so we'll see where this goes. But Cody, I want to ask you this. Go through the lineup with me for next year. What they have based on now, not what we think or hope it'll be, but what they have right now. Robert says 75 win season when it's all said and done. Probably 75, 87, right in there. Where do you let's go through this and see. Let's start, right behind the plate and go around the horn. Bailey will be back as the starting catcher.
Yeah. And they desperately need a right-handed backup for him that's not named Tom Murphy.
Right. There's a guy that they had named Joey Bart. Would have been perfect. Would have perfect 1-2 platoon combo. This is what we were all yelling.
We said it. You and I were saying it.
I mean, we yelled for it in April. Don't come on, you got a perfect backup. You don't have to get rid of him, but Farhan, because he doesn't like a guy, doesn't even give him a shot. He didn't like Ramos, but he was forced to give him a shot because they had nobody else on the roster that could play outfield. So Chardal, please stop asking, for the link. We don't want to. We're busy, and it can be distracting at times when you want to constantly come on the show. The first base. Okay, let's go back to Bailey.
Yeah.
Okay, Bailey is a guy that's a great framer, and that may get taken away in the coming years because next year they're going to introduce in spring training. I've already read it. They're going to introduce some form of the ABS or the challenge system. And then they think in 26, it might be here. So next year might be the last year for this so-called, framing. And then what does Bailey become but just a weak hitting catcher?
Maybe he gets that second knee up and he starts focusing on blocking balls like he should have.
Yeah, I asked Bobby Evans that last night about, will the game go back to the, guys in the squat, where you are able to slide your body over instead of having to backhand like you're trying to, first baseman, trying to pick a throw in the dirt. So catcher, we got one more year, it looks like, of the, where you can, Bailey's the best in the business at stealing strikes. It's documented. By the way, what'd you think of that call last night, the giving Grant McCray an error?
It was atrocious.
I mean,
that was terrible.
What the heck is that?
There's no universe in which that is an error on Grant McCray. I mean, because the reality is, were they going to get the runner out? Maybe. I mean, if Bailey would have caught it, got the tag, maybe. And I'm not going to get on Bailey's case for not, catching it or getting the tag.
He was trying to scoop it and tag at the same time, which is very hard with the catcher's glove.
Yeah, but to not keep the ball in front of you is 1,000,000% on Patrick Bailey.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where the error is. So there's no way that should go to Grant McCray.
Yeah, and guys, I put a tweet out on this. If you guys watch this, I tried to rewind it, but because I'm in Arizona, the games are blacked out here, so I have another way of watching the games, and the service doesn't allow me to rewind it. I put a tweet out last night that basically said this was you're messing with the integrity of the game, the official scorekeeper. The reason, guys, the Bailey didn't get the error is because he's up for a Gold Glove, and you don't want his statistics to be marred by more errors. And it's the equivalent of a ground ball to Chapman. That's a easy, nice, easy, not a hard hit ball, but and it goes between the wickets, right between his legs. And they give the guy a hit because they don't want to give Chapman the error.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that was, if you got to score an error because that's the way the game is. An error has to be on somebody and it was clearly on Bailey, but the hometown scorekeeper, and this is why
it was bad.
I tweeted it. You tweeted it too?
Yeah, I took a screen grab of the video.
Oh, good. I was trying to
posted it.
I missed that. I got to go check that out.
Yeah.
Sometimes in your feed, if it doesn't come up, golly, I just was like, you're kidding. You know, the poor McRae, it's like gets an
Yeah,
error
it's
for
like for what? Because he threw a 3-hopper to him? Like, I mean, whatever. It went right. It's like Robert says, it literally crossed the plate. Like, what are we doing?
It crossed the plate. Yeah. It there it is. Crossed the plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it went right over the plate. Yeah. If the plate was a bag, it would have hit the bag and stopped.
Yeah. It's just it was bad. It was bad.
So
but to your point about Bailey though, like, and this is what I see, and I always have to be careful with how I criticize Bailey because I find I have to say, in all my years watching sports, I don't think I've ever seen a fan base that is so defensive and possessive over a player. Like, he is ours. You can't say anything bad about him than I have about Patrick Bailey, because I swear to God, anytime I go on Twitter, if I say one thing that's just a criticism, it's not even bagging on the guy. It's not,
oh yeah, I saw your little thing the other day.
Oh my God. I
get
spam. Yes. Yeah. I was joking because it's like I've done this a few times. And then Kawakami mentions it. And I'm like, careful, Tim. They're going to start sending you the baseball savant screenshots and, telling you how great he is, even though they don't clearly watch the position and understand nuance. But, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I watch Bailey all the time, and it's like he's just not a steady presence back there. And maybe they like throwing to him because he's a great framer. Maybe they like the way he calls games, which, I mean, I could go on about pitch sequencing this season, but I'm not going to. But, and you know what? His pop time is great. His arm's not the most accurate. I would actually go out and say Joey Bart has more accurate arm. Patrick Bailey just gets it out faster. Like, that's not debatable, obviously, but he's got a little bit of a shotgun arm. It goes all over, and that could be the sidearm throw. I don't know. But the stuff that gets me is he has a level of laziness behind the plate, and we can blame the one knee down for his poor blocking, where he ranks like 50th among catchers, meaning he's worse than every team's starters and like over half the backups in baseball at blocking balls in the dirt. And so many of them, I can't even blame the one knee down. Like, I've seen him trying to backhand a bunch of balls this year that were right off his like hip. And it's like, dude, you can get in front of that, even with the knee down. Like, that is not that hard of a ball to get in front of. You're literally sliding a couple inches. And that's the stuff that drives me nuts, because it's like, I get kind of, it's a little nitpicky, but it's like, I get frustrated because for him to take the next step from being just like a great defender to like a truly elite, one of, probably not even debatably the best defensive catcher in baseball, is honestly just effort back there, in my opinion. Like, just cleaning up his mechanics a little bit and not having the lazy moments and being just a more steady presence with a little bit fewer mistakes as a whole, because that's the issue for me. It's just too many errors, too many pass balls, that stuff. And he hasn't even gotten credited for a lot of pass balls that he frankly should have seen. People don't like how some scorekeepers work. I would be brutal on catchers, because quite frankly, if I thought that you could have dropped in front of a ball, I don't care if the pitcher threw it a foot in front of home plate. If I felt like you should have used your body to block it, if you try and backhand it, I'd be throwing it on the catcher every time. That's just me.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Robert Brown says, good explanation of Bailey. Well, one former catcher evaluating a catcher. Yeah. It's interesting. I didn't know Bobby Evans. He said when he played, he loved to he was a catcher. He loved to play catcher. Yeah,
and he can be great. He can be truly great. Like, that's what like a lot of people think I hate the guy, and I'm like, no, I just know how good he can be, and I'm not going to accept the effort and what he gives, because it could be so much better just cleaning a few things up.
Right. And I'm just surprised. I used to umpire home plate, behind the plate in, when I was younger. I do the 15-year-old games when I was in high school or whatever, or early college, But the stealing of strikes, when you're looking at the plate, you can actually see where the ball crosses the plate. I mean, you could see if it crosses, if it hits the black, or I mean, especially if you're lined up on that shoulder, where the ball, you can get a pretty good feel of it. I don't know how guys. I mean, I watch guys frame, and to me, when a guy catches the ball here and comes here, why not just a little bit so it makes it. I mean, when you move it all the way from off the plate to the center of the plate, it's. I mean, I thought Buster was a great framer. Buster,
100%.
I mean, Buster. If you watch Buster's frames, he didn't yank it all the way over the plate. He would just boom and hold it, and then he'd get up and take off. Especially if it was called strike three, he'd be rolling the ball out.
He called it for the umpire.
Yeah, and he got so many calls that way. He was tremendous, and I think there was an advantage Buster had because he was a shortstop at Florida State and then converted to a catcher. Bailey's only been a catcher since he's younger. I mean, Buster's more athletic, obviously, than Bailey. But I don't know.
He was a unicorn. I mean, he was a truly great defensive catcher that had no weakness behind the plate.
Right.
He was an elite framer. He was an elite thrower in general. I mean, he wasn't quite Yachty when it came to throwing, but he had a great arm, accurate arm. So he was, high level, and he was an elite blocker. I mean, in handling the staff, calming Brett, he did everything at a high level. That's when people ask me, they'll go, well, what's your definition of elite? I'm like, go back and watch tape on Buster, Yachty, Mauer.
Yep.
The Molina. Well, I'll just say both Molinas, the Matheny's, Pudge. Those are elite. That is what an elite catcher looks like. And I'm not going to call Bailey elite just because he's the best of a watered down defensive group at the catcher position, where I don't think there really are any elite ones right now. So that's my pedestal that I'm going to stand on when it comes to this. And I know a lot of people don't agree with it, and that's fine. Everyone can have their opinions on that one, but it's frustrating because he can be great. And Posey's thing is he was more of an old school framer. And Robert in the chat there, he would move the glove more than his wrist. That's exactly correct. When you're framing, it is supposed to be a subtlety. It's how you're presenting the ball with your glove. You can turn your glove in a way. You can catch it and literally not move your hand. As far as where your hand is out, you can catch it and turn your glove this way to where I don't have my glove with me, obviously, but you can turn your glove that way to where more of the glove is in the meat of the zone. I'm going to use that as an example. If it's on the inside corner for a righty, you can turn the glove that way, the way you receive the ball, and it makes it look like more of your gloves in the zone. And you could literally not jerk it to any side, and it's just how you catch the ball and how you're presenting the ball, and that makes it look like a strike without you looking like you're trying to fool an umpire.
Right.
So it's just they've gotten rid of that, and it drives me nuts. And I don't mind putting the glove down. I get the reason, they're getting closer to the plate, and the whole point is I've always been more of a fan of giving them a target to look at, and now it's they give the target, they drop the glove, and they bring it up, and the idea is the umpire can see the zone better when your glove's not up there blocking it. But I can't get behind the whole moving the glove 6 inches every time you catch it.
Yeah, exactly. And before we move to the other positions, I wanted to discuss something real quick. Did you see Whit Merrifield's interview after, I think it was maybe last night's game, talking about all the guys that have gotten hit in the game?
He's dead right.
And he's talking about, the pitchers are just trying to throw 100 miles an hour, and they have no idea where the ball's going, and they're just trying to heave it as fast as they can. And more guys have had getting hit, and he was talking about, he says, he got hit in the hip. He says it could have ended his career if it's the wrong spot. Different. I mean, it's frustrating. There's too many guys getting hit by pitches, and because guys have no idea where they're throwing the ball, they're just trying to fire. Yeah. And he did mention, which I thought was interesting, he's on the rules committee, and there was a meeting, and I don't know if it was in the next day or two, but they were going to be discussing it. There may be something coming down because, pitchers have no recourse anymore. They don't bat. They don't have to go up there and he got hit in the head, George. I thought he got hit in the. He did Whitfield get hit? Merrifield. Did he get hit in the head?
Did you just see the Chapman news?
Oh my goodness. I see it.
What?
Mark Graves just put it
drunk. Sorry, I mean that might be a little harsh, but I can't. 6 years?
What's the news?
I don't know the money. Someone put the money up there. I don't know. I only see 6 years.
Okay, the Giants are officially done, guys. Wait a minute. Where?
Giants Twitter says they've agreed to terms on a 6-year contract extension with Chapman. I don't know the money though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm fine with giving. I was fine with like 4 years, and you just better go get something to put around him because it's like you said, he can't be the best player on a
6 years, $151 million. That's 25 a year. Just what I thought. And any terms? Let me see if let me look this up here. Hold on here. I gotta just do a little research here.
Yeah.
Pull up.
That's brutal. And you know what? Here, I'm gonna play the positive side of this for a moment. Like,
here it is. Chapman will earn $25 million each season through 2030 and get a $1 million signing bonus next year. Scott Boras' clients almost always test free, but Chapman loves it here, and the Giants didn't want to let him go. Okay. The Giants
it's clear that he wanted to
have agreed to a 6-year, $151 million contract. Goodbye, Casey Schmidt, it looks like. You didn't ever give him a shot at third base. This team is going to have to get top hitters, and it looks like they put their money into Chapman. They basically upped his salary another $7 million. That means, Conforto's $18 million's gone. They may look to move off Taylor Rogers $11 million or whatever he makes. That's $29 million. Yaz, I don't know, $10 million, or they let him go.
Yaz to me is a person that I understand why he's so liked, and I get like he is not the issue. Like,
I don't know how Giovanni
is.
This guy Giovanni shows up whenever there's something happens. I think he's a troll. I don't think that's his real name. We've asked him to come on. Whoever knows Giovanni's, I think it's a made-up name. But Giovanni, you can tell me to keep yapping. How's that working for the Giants this year, buddy? I told you they'd be a 4th-place finish. You want to come pay me your bet that you were so proud to point out that you wanted to jump on? Giovanni, this team is a 4th-place team with Matt Chapman this year, and they will be a 4th-place team with him next year and the next year. You just extended
him, and it doesn't make your team better.
It does not make your team better. What did Chapman do for the Toronto Blue Jays? Nothing, and they had Vladdy Guerrero, and they had a productive the shortstop, Bichette. They had Bichette's having a bad year, but he didn't have a bad year the year before. Belt
had a big year last year.
Yeah, too. Belt, and then you had didn't they have Springer there too last year with Toronto? I think so.
Yeah, Springer was there last season.
You had a much better team. I mean, that was a 90-win team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chapman, total was,
and they didn't want Chapman back to the extent. I guess they made him an offer, but he didn't take it. But
I do think he wanted to go back to California.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the very few players where, not even necessarily the money mattered for him. It was, he was going to take the money to come to San Francisco. And then and he kind of played it perfectly in his, for him, like he's played it perfectly. He came to San Francisco, probably didn't take the biggest contract that he could have gotten elsewhere, and he went to San Francisco because he wanted to be in California and played really well to get the big contract out of the place that he wanted to be. And
Yeah, Senior just may have made the statement of the night. He says, well, this seals it. Farhan isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It appears that Farhan has, if they let him make this deal, is ownership giving Farhan the carte blanche, like, you're back? Oh, guys, I don't even know if I can watch this team next year.
Yeah. And here, I'll play the positive side for Chapman for just a second here. In the sense that I'm gonna have to dig deep on this one, Dan. There's always the talk, like, you can't have no vets, and that's true. Like, you have to have some veteran presence. You have to have some leadership. He is that. Like, he is a pro. He is going to show guys how to, play the game the right way, all those good things. And if you are serious about winning and you do want to come out and go get big players, whether that's trading for Vladdy and then when Bryce gets here and then making another big splash and getting like an Adamas type player, like, if you're going to go out and do big things with it and get him down in the lineup where he's hitting 6th or 7th, like, he can be an extremely valuable player. Now, at 6 years, 150 million, I think they're nuts. But
absolutely nuts.
That's
I can tell you how the negotiations went down. Boris is saying, we're going to test the market, and they make some offers, and the Giants are looking at, going 5 years max, and they're saying we'll go 5, 120, 125, and Boris is like, well, we got time, you want to throw in that 6 year because we're going to get it on the open market. And if you want us to sign, come up with the 6 year deal, or we're no hurry. Farhan comes back with the 6 year deal, and Boris is laughing his ass off, going, I got us, Matt, we're signing this deal. I really only wanted to try and get you 3 years. I would have settled for three years more on top of this year for 75 million. And Farhan just got suckered into 3 more years. And you know what? Farhan complained about, I know he didn't care for Longoria. He didn't care for the contract that Longoria had.
And I don't think Longoria cared for Farhan.
Yeah, no, you see that? Yeah. And so Longoria is, Chapman's a better all-around player. He's in better shape. He's a good base runner, all those things. But Father Time catches us all. Chapman's going to be 37 at the end of this deal, or 38. What is he? He's going to be 32 next year? Is he not 31?
Yeah, next season is his age 32 season. I think he's his birthday is in March, I want to say.
Let me pull this up. Matt Chapman. I'm going to look up his This is crazy. Matt Chapman, we'll look at Baseball Reference here, and we'll just look at it. It'll tell us his all right. Matt Chapman is 31. He turns 32 in April. So at 1 month into the season, the end of April. So he's 32 next year. So you got him for age 32, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So through age 37. Look, guys, by the time he hits 34, his production will go further and further into the tank. I'm not against Matt Chapman as a piece that is kind of, I can see more Chapman being more of a missing type piece when you have a solid group around him versus being the piece to build around. And that's what the Giants are doing.
Yeah.
They have a guy that they think is this star player. Look, he's never had more than 91 RBIs in a season. And that was 2019, the year of the juice ball. He's at the end of his prime right now.
Yeah.
Like Mark Graves just said. Where did I see it? Yeah. Prime years, basically 27 to 32. I'd almost argue, well, for most guys, 27. Some of them, the prime's moving up to 25, 26 because they're starting at 20, but 27 right in there to 32. That's and guys always have historically fallen off after the age of 32. Look, we just had Brandon Crawford, and we saw his career start to go down. He had the one big year in 21 at age 33, I believe it was. 34 and 22, 30. Maybe it was maybe he was 30 in 21, he was like 34 maybe. But that was, look guys, it just happens. Matt Chapman, to me, wow. So we know he's back. So now we can do our exercise. It's third base is covered.
Yep. Pencil, put it in Sharpie now.
Yeah. So now you got Matt Chapman at third. Casey Schmidt, they drafted him as the heir apparent to being a third baseman in the mold of Matt Chapman defensively, and he'll never play third base for the Giants unless Chapman is injured for a long extent. You'll never see what Casey Schmidt could do at third base in the big leagues for the Giants. My guess is Casey is moved in the offseason, and they will probably, someone will find out. Someone's going to get a Casey Schmidt and go, man, we got to steal. Because I'm telling you, he may not be the greatest hitter right now, but he will hit what Chapman hits if he gets to play every day, and he will play as well defensively, and he's cheap compared to what Chapman's costing you. Like $24 million cheaper. Gosh.
Yeah.
I'm just, look, guys, okay. Let's go to first base. It looks like it's Lamont Wade right now, and whoever they can find. But that's a big hole. That's a hole.
I mean, and you're saying we're not doing the who we would look to bring in, or
correct. Just
okay,
what
just
it is
what
now.
Yeah, it's Wade. I mean, I hope to God Flores gets the boot and they buy out, because he does have like a $2.5 million buyout if they want to buy out his deal.
Right.
They need to, but they might not. I mean, I think that's a spot they should look to upgrade and get Wade to a reserve role. I mean, he's our starting first baseman, and he has like 6 home runs and 24 RBIs.
Yeah, number 6 was tonight too.
Or 26 RBIs. I don't know. Like, it's not money. So
we've got a hole at first base. Second base, there's a big question mark there too.
Yeah. I mean, are you going to roll with Luciano? Which, I mean, I do think Luciano. Now, I don't think Luciano's a middle infielder. I know you and I are on the same page there.
I'd rather see him at first base, as I mentioned.
Yeah. And, I made a joke today when, Birdsong threw that scud missile over to first base and Luciano didn't pick it. And I went, oh, well, there goes the first base candidacy.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind seeing him tried out there. I wouldn't mind seeing him in like left field. I mean, someone was talking in the chat earlier, it might have been Senior, was mentioning he looks really stiff. He's got some back issues. I think getting him out of the infield might not be the worst thing. He's decently athletic. Like, he'd be fine in left field, but that's just my feelings on it. Yeah, second's tough. I mean, Fitzgerald could either play short or second, depending on what you do in free agency. Not a ton of options. Maybe you keep Casey Schmidt around to compete for that, because the one thing I would say is VR is probably going to be gone after this season, because he's on his last minor league option right now. So I think you're muted, Dan.
Sorry. Yeah, I was
You're good.
Looking something up here.
So you have no third base depth behind Chapman if you move Schmidt and then
Right.
VR is gone. So I could see Schmidt sticking around as kind of he has one more option year, and then just keeping him around as a utility guy of, break glass in case of emergency if Chapman does get a big injury or something. But
Wow. This just floors me. Absolutely floors me that they went 6 years with this guy. 6 years with a guy you didn't have to.
insane.
No one in the baseball was going to give him 6 years. No one. That's just nuts. And so, hey, 49er media, good to see you in here.
Hey,
Look, Schmidt, the whole thing with Schmidt is he's never been given a legitimate shot to fail. Yes, we've seen failure at him at the plate because he hasn't got into any kind of rhythm, but he hit well down in Sacramento. Look, 2 years ago, he was the Barney Nugent Award winner for the best player in camp, best young player, whatever that award is in spring training. I watched him. He was hitting the ball all over the field, in the gaps, hitting doubles and triples, and he was like really good. And then we saw what he did when he came up. Look, if he hit the way he hit, and then we saw him slump terribly, that tells you, just like what Matos did earlier this year, they can hit. They have it in them. They just have to make adjustments when the pitchers make adjustments to them. That's all baseball is a game of adjustments. And if these guys have the talent to hit the way they did hit, they have the ability to make the adjustments and make it. And yet this organization continually fails time after time after time after time after time to give these guys the opportunity. You guys think Elliot Ramos is all of a sudden just some guy that just came out of nowhere? No, he showed this last year in AAA. He hit for power. He was hitting the ball the hardest of anybody in Sacramento. He came up for a song and a dance for a week or two. He hit the hardest ball last year for the Giants, like 110 miles per hour or something. And then this year, Farhan in the offseason says, my one regret is I didn't give Elliot Ramos a chance to play, and we need to let him see. And what does he do? He sends him down in spring training 2 weeks after camp opens, and he says the job is Yaz in right field, Lee in center, and Conforto in left. And that's the outfield, and we're not going to platoon. And Ramos is not even nowhere to be found, not even heard of. You got Austin Slater above him, and then there was I don't even know what they were going to do.
AJ Pollock.
Oh, yeah. And they had Pollock they gave a shot to. And
they bought Meckler up and started his clock for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. They put Meckler, a guy who was in his first year in the minor leagues last year, all the way up to the big leagues, and they put him ahead of Ramos. Farhan did not like Elliot Ramos, just like he didn't like Joey Bart. And what you saw of Elliot Ramos this year, if Lee didn't get injured and Conforto and Slater didn't get injured, I'm convinced Elliot Ramos would not be in the organization today. He would have been dealt. They were going to move off of him. And he came up and he practically had to beg Farhan, give me a shot. I can do this. I'm ready to play. And he gets his shot and he proves himself. And that should show you right there that this guy is a clown. He doesn't understand the eye test of guys' makeup. Look, there's no guarantee that Ramos was going to make it, but he got a shot. And he got a daily shot. And that's what Schmidt and Matos, and that's all I asked for, is give these guys a shot. I'm not saying that Casey Schmidt is going to be, going to make it. He may not. But you cannot, when you are a team that is as crappy as the Giants are, you cannot be playing vets that are not part of your future. You had a chance to rebuild this thing 6 years ago. You didn't do it. And now they have failed to give these guys a legitimate chance. I'm talking about Schmidt and Matos and Bart, and you didn't get to see what they could do on a regular basis. And now we see Ramos doing it. We saw Bart playing and hitting great. And we don't know if Schmidt and Matos are part of the future. But you got to find out when you're crappy, because you're not, if you get good, which Giants aren't getting good anytime soon, guys, period.
Yeah. My biggest issue with this organization over the last year or two has been someone find me another organization in all of the major leagues that brings 21 to 23-year-olds up and then sits them on a bench. Like, no teams do that. I mean, you can make the argument that, like, oh, they'll bring up the Casey Schmidt type players around the league and those guys get platooned or whatever. Guys that are 24, 25, 26 years old, whatever. Like, these prospects that come up, and yeah, a lot of those guys don't necessarily get the most fair shot. Like, a Casey Schmidt situation is not always that uncommon around baseball. It sucks because I would have liked to see him get more of a run this season where he just played every day for 2 months, and maybe he stunk for a while and then figures it out. Who knows? But no, Ben, I mean, it's not just Melvin. Like, it was done under Kapler. It's a farm issue.
Yeah,
like, this is not Melvin.
Melvin issue, guys.
Melvin has track record as a guy that will play the young players. Just look at Oakland when that's the directive. So, and I'm harsh on Melvin on a lot of things. That's not one I'm going to put on him. But like this franchise, like the last couple of years, they consistently will bring guys like, Luciano and Matos, these guys that are 21, 22 years old, and then they sit them half the games. Or they did it with Ramos 2 years ago and last year when he was, 22, 23 years old. It's absolutely mind-boggling that they think that is how you handle, especially that young of players. They're not going to benefit by sitting. They are in their developmental phase. They're so far from their prime. They need to play every day. And if you're not going to do it at the major league level, keep them in the minors. Like, I'm not going to. Yeah, there are times where it's like, yeah, can we bring this guy up and like give them a look because whatever vet is out there is just doing absolutely nothing. But if you're just going to bring him up to sit him, like that's worse than leaving him down in the minors. Like, it's just so infuriating. And this is the only team around baseball that I've seen that does this. So
this is absolutely unbelievable. The terms in the deal, basically, I saw this in here. Somebody put it in here. Alan Wiley, details contract per Jap. Passing, no deferred money.
Yeah.
Full no trade clause. Deal is on top of current $20 million, in effect, making his contract a 7-year deal, including this year. Look, guys, Giants are going to rue the day. They're going to hate this They're going to hate this contract in 3 years. You mark my word.
I'll just say good for Chapman.
Yeah.
Good for
him. Mark my word. 3 years from now. Look, I'm not saying Matt Chapman is not a good ball player. I've said it many times. He is a really good baseball player. He is a good ball player. What he needs is players around him that are carrying the team offensively, and then Chapman just becomes a big piece in your lineup that becomes a bigger threat, because like right now, Matt Chapman is your leader offensively. Yes, Ramos is having his you know what, Giovanni? Whatever. I'm not even going to talk about you. The Chapman is the leader. He is expected to lead this team offensively. You look at Ramos' numbers. The Bay Area loves this guy. The Giants organization loves this guy. He is your leader. And he is, what you just paid him is proof that he is, he's your, hold on here. Let me see. He is the leader of this team. He's the leader that the Giants are trying to build around, and they paid him like a top 20 player in the game. We're going to welcome in Bora to the show. He just got back in, and I think he's probably jumping in because of this Matt Chapman news. Welcome, Bora.
Thank you.
We haven't even got to the
What's up,
minor
bro?
leagues yet. This is disturbing our minor league content.
Honestly,
Man.
it's just going to be Eldridge talk
Okay.
today. I'm not even going to go into the whole.
Okay, good. Because so we were just going around the team for next year, and we got to first base, I think, and then we started at catcher. We spent some time on catcher and going to first base, and then all of a sudden, news pops that Chapman signs. It's like, okay, there's your third baseman for next year and for eternity as a Giants. Oh my goodness, I would have been fine with 3 years because I'm like, okay, 3 years, but 6 years, you just
it's a culture signing. Like they're trying to have him set the culture.
Yeah,
and that, like, honestly, that's what it is.
You know what I'll say about this? My initial reaction, like, I'm assuming both of your guys's was that I didn't really like it. And I'm still gonna say I don't like it. I don't like the 6 years. Yeah, he's a good clubhouse guy. He's a good tone setter. He's a good culture guy. But I just can't fathom giving a guy $25 million for 6 years after his age 31 season. I don't understand that, especially when he's not even a superstar. He didn't make the All-Star team this
year. The other
year.
thing is, how did he help you this year?
Exactly.
They're going to be worse off this year than last year. They were actually going to have I think they finished with a worse record this year than they did last year under Gabe Kapler.
That's definitely a possibility. The one thing that I'll say heading into the offseason is this does instill a little confidence in me. I don't have much confidence in Farhan to begin with, but it does give me the feeling like they're kind of going for it, because I don't know how you can convince ownership to just sign Matt Chapman for 6 years. And that be your only decent, pretty big move in the offseason. It's a little interesting that it was Boris who dealt this, and Boris is Chapman's agent. It got done before the offseason, which told me that Chapman really just wanted to be here. I think he likes it. The Giants obviously like him.
The organization Google goggles over him.
The organization loves him.
Dave Fleming, they all just think Matt Chapman. They just act. And I get it. He's tremendous defensively. He's a leader. He shows up. He's a good character guy. I like Matt Chapman personally. I just don't like the idea.
Yes,
that he is the cornerstone to the franchise,
and you're tied to him for 6 years until he's
trade
37.
clause.
You just paid $25 million a year to a guy that you need to go invest in two guys that are better offensively than. Like that's the issue. Like I love the defense. I love the leadership. I love all that. I love all of those things. But you're paying $25 million a year now to a guy that you desperately are going to have to go find at least two more players that are better than him offensively.
And where are you going to do that?
If you want to be good. You got to now we're going to have to hope to God that Eldridge is one of them, because one of them is going to need to be cheap. And and this is factoring in that Ramos is already here. Like that's assuming Ramos keeps doing what he's doing. You got to hope that Eldridge is one, because he's going to be cheap. So then you can realistically afford one more big time offensive player. And if we are going to go for it this season, that's where it turns into, like, what does that look like? Like, are you going to go trade for Vladdy and get Adames? What do you, because Adames is a lot. Adames, if you look at him, has been very similar to Chapman numbers wise. Now, granted, Adames is much better driving run, getting people in historically. So there's a positive there, but then the end numbers look pretty similar, except for the RBIs. But like, you're going to end up with a super right-handed heavy lineup next season if you go that route.
Yeah, look at that comment.
Yeah.
They'll overpay for Chapman, but not Judge Harper.
This has been every year. They overpay for mid. And I'm not calling Chapman a mid player. He's not. He's definitely
mid.
Really good.
He's mid when it comes to offensive production. He's elite in about everything else.
Yeah. The Giants for years have been so super willing to pay a mid player like a Haniger, a Conforto, or whatever, DeSclafani. All these guys, they're so willing to give these guys well above their market to get them in the door, but they will never do it with the big time players. They'll never go to the top of market and say, "Yeah, we'll overpay you to get you here."
Look, guys,
So
I have said this, and I'm going to say it again. The Giants are toast. They are toast with Farhan, and this looks like this may mean Farhan stays. I think this might mean Farhan stays, and it now appears to me that they are going to try to. They're not going to get any free agents of value from
because they
offensive line.
can't.
They can't. They're not going to. Look how they treated Conforto. Look how they treated Soler. Two of the bigger offensive producing guys in the past, and they've had productive offensive seasons in their careers. And they are building around Matt Chapman. They've just said Matt Chapman is the guy, and he's the leader of this team, like it or not. And Matt Chapman has done nothing ever. He's never even got 100 RBIs. He's not even sniffed 100 RBIs in one season. And this year, he is not going to get much more than 80, most likely. Okay? And he's your cleanup hitter or 5 hitter. And at times, he's batted every game this year for the most part, 3 to 5. He's been in the 3 to 5 spot. And he has like 65 RBIs right now. His stats are hollow. They're the definition of hollow. What do I mean by hollow?
Garbage time.
Yeah, they are not indicative of clutch hitting. He had the big bases loaded clearing double the other night to beat the Marlins 3-1 in the 8th inning. And people, that probably sealed the contract right there. Look, we got this guy, that can drive in runs. He's 40 strikeouts with runners in scoring position. Guys, he's not a productive offensive player. And that was my issue with Matt Chapman. Everybody says I can't stand Matt Chapman. I don't like Matt Chapman for this team. Put him on LA and I'd give him $25 million for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They can afford it and they would absorb it and he would make their team even better. I'm convinced, you put Matt Chapman at third base for LA and move Max Muncy over to second base. Now you guys, they move off of Lux or whatever they want.
They're getting these numbers out of their 7-hitter with a Gold Glover at third. At that point, they would take that in a heartbeat.
Exactly. They would be like, gosh, we got a 7-hitter that plays the game the right way and hits 20 plus homers. Are you kidding? He'd probably hit more homers in LA because of the protection around him. Look, Bryce Eldridge is not going to be here next year. We're going to get to Bryce Eldridge in a little bit. Bryce Eldridge, he might make a song and dance in September next year. If things, I could see that happening. But he is not going to solve the problems. And you know what? If Bryce Eldridge comes up in 26 and hits well, and he's the only other guy you got, that's not going to be enough either, guys. It's just not. The Giants are going to fall behind. Look, there it is right up there. I'm wearing the Arizona hat. Okay, the hole up there on the wall is Arizona. Where the orange hat sits, eventually in Matt Chapman's tenure, that orange hat's going to be below Colorado.
Was that your prediction?
Yeah, during Matt Chapman's career, the Giants will fall. Colorado will surpass the Giants at some point. I don't see the Giants unless there is a complete change of direction in this organization and they move off of Farhan. This team will not go anywhere. I'm telling you, I've said it, many times, if Farhan stays, the Giants are going to be no better than that place, 4th place in this division, because Arizona's is getting better, and they've got guys coming up. The Padres still have a better farm system, even though they sold it all. Still have a better farm system than the Giants. And, of course, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So the Giants' only chance of ever being better is getting off of Farhan and getting a first-rate, top negotiating director or president of baseball ops who's got experience of making solid trades like Brian Sabian. Sabian wasn't perfect. He did bring you 3 titles, and he brought you 15 out of 20 winning seasons. He knew baseball. He was a baseball scout. Okay. He drafted Derek Jeter. He knows baseball, and he knew how to make trades. Look, everybody, including myself, thought he was nuts when he traded Matt Williams for Jeff Kent. I'm like, what are you doing? The guy knew baseball. He knew what he saw something that others didn't see. And he was able to orchestrate and put together quality team, quality managers, and he had the right mix of players. And the Giants were able to do what they did. This will never happen under Farhan Zaidi, and your only hope of ever competing and getting top players is if the organization has a complete turnaround and they learn to draft and trade better. Because even Brian didn't get the top free agent hitters here. Okay. They don't want to come to San Francisco and play in this ballpark. Look, if a guy's a borderline Hall of Fame player, do you think he wants to come to San Francisco and ruin his stats or go to one of many other places where he can rack up numbers and make the Hall of Fame? If it's me and I've got an opportunity to be a Hall of Fame and I'm thinking, well, gosh, my numbers, if I drop there. Yeah, no, I don't want to go to San Francisco and play in that if I don't have to. But players will come here and do well and trade. We've seen it.
Yeah.
And there's only a few generational guys that this ballpark doesn't stop. Okay. Bonds was one. Ohtani, Judge would have been another. Soto could be another, but Soto's not coming here, guys.
Dan, I'm so glad you brought up the negotiating part with Sabian and Farhan, because my problem isn't necessarily with the player of Chapman. It's the contract. You're giving him 6 years. There's no money deferred, and there's a full no trade clause. You're giving all the power to Matt Chapman, and we've seen it time after time after time. These 1-year opt-out deals with the second year with the opt-out, though, that puts the power in the player, because if a player has a bad year, he can opt back in for the amount. We saw it with Conforto last year. I mean, Conforto's being paid $18 million. Do any of us think Conforto's worth $18 million? No, he's probably worth 8 to 10. We have seen it time after time after time with Scott Boras and Farhan. When Scott Boras knows how to play Farhan. He just knows how to play him. I mean, this Chapman deal that Farhan signed this past offseason, what was it, like 3 years, $54 million? It was something like that with a bunch of opt-outs. That benefits the player. Because if he doesn't have a good year, he can just opt right back in and get $18 million. Farhan puts all the power into the player, and that's not what you want. You need to have some power on your side. Because guess
Boris
what? If Chapman produces for a couple years and then his last 3 years are just horrible because he's 34, 35, 36, 37, and he's an aging veteran who's played his whole career, the Giants aren't going to be able to trade him because Chapman has a no trade clause, and it's likely that he's not going to want to leave because he loves the Bay Area. So Chapman's stuck here. And
you exactly, Bora. And you know what? You bring up a great point. That opt-out gave Chapman total control over these negotiations because he could just say, no, thanks. I can opt out. I'll I'm going to test the market. And the Giants are like, if he had no opt out this year, he might not be hitting the market because he might not get the deal he wants, because a lot of players and teams have watched and say, these stats are inflated when you look at the production, because, when Matt Chapman comes up with runners in scoring position in the games, is he the guy you want up? Do you get confidence like, oh, I feel good now?
To be fair, I don't have any confidence with any players on this team.
True. I don't either. But who would you rather like to see in an at-bat? Just name 10 players that, would you rather see Max Muncy or Chapman in an at-bat with the game on the line?
Max Muncy against the Giants or any other team?
Just any team. Just to hit the ball.
Because any other team, it's probably pretty close. But the Giants, Muncy kills them.
But okay, maybe that's a bad example. How about
Elliot Ramos? I'm taking Elliot Ramos.
100% Ramos.
Yeah, Ramos, sure.
Works a
Tyler Fitzgerald. I'm taking Tyler Fitzgerald.
Jung-Hoo Lee.
Jung-Hoo Lee. I'm taking Jung-Hoo Lee.
Absolutely. He's going to make contact. Yeah. Mark Cannon.
I might take Mark Cannon.
Oh, I'll absolutely take Mark Cannon in a clutch situation over Chapman.
I would be okay with bringing back Mark Cannon actually next year. For like $2 to $3 million. If they can just sign him to be the end of the bench back.
Oh, he'll be here. He'll be here. I'm convinced. It's a Chapman. Melvin,
I'm fine with that
reunion.
though. As long as he doesn't have a significant role in this team.
The mother and child reunion. We got Chapman and Cannon. How about if we bring back who else was on that A's teams in 18-19 that's still out there?
Piscotty.
He was here, but Farhan, he should have. He was good actually in spring training last year, but he wanted out. He didn't want to stay in the organization because he was like, I'm not going to. I'll go play in the White Sox minor league organization and stay with the Giants.
Do you think? The Giants obviously overpaid for Chapman, right? I think we can all agree on that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Is his market really $25 million? Because I could have seen. Let me rephrase it. I don't know if they overpaid him annually, because that just might be his market. But they overpaid 2 years. I think he could have gotten $400.
He probably could have.
I would have probably not even blasted the Giants if they gave him $4 for $100. And if he said, I'm going to go to if he said, I'm going to go test the market, the Giants should have just called him on it and been like, yeah, go for it. And just left that offer on the table and been like, that's going to be our best offer. And if he takes it, because if he really wants to be in the Bay Area, he'll go around. He probably won't get a much better offer, if at all. And he would have just circled back and signed it later on. But Farhan is so terrified of him walking that he just
they love the metrics. My question to everybody, and I'm going to repeat this again and again and again. Those who love this deal and have talked to me in the chat, get off of Matt Chapman. How did he make the team better this year, guys? He's played almost every game. What did Matt Chapman do to make this team better? If Casey Schmidt were the everyday third baseman, would they be much worse off than they are now? I submit to you, it wouldn't be a whole lot different.
I think that I would make the argument in the other direction. I think Chapman's helped them a lot.
I think he's made him. I'm saying they'd be a little better.
This team would be pretty dreadful if he wasn't here. Honestly,
this team would be pretty much unwatchable. And I will say this: for all that we give Matt Chapman, he knows how to play the game, and he'll give you 150 plus games a year, which is something that's kind of rare nowadays. You see a lot of 110 to 120. So I respect that from Matt Chapman. And I'll also say this. the Giants can now work on improving other positions, and they've solidified the third base position. They've solidified it defensively. They've solidified it offensively.
You're right.
You know what they have, and now they can move on to other positions. That's the one thing that is good with this deal. You don't have to keep on platooning third baseman or going after J.D. Davis's or Casey Schmidt's, bringing him up and moving him down. You finally have a solid third baseman who's going to be here for the near future. Now it's time to get aggressive in free agency, go after Vlad Guerrero. I think my prediction is we're going to hear a lot of noise about Guerrero in the offseason, just because there was the rumor that Farhan had reached out to the Blue Jays at the trade deadline. I think if I were the Giants and if I were Farhan, I would be going after Guerrero, because you still have him for another year. Then you can extend him. Soto would just be, to me, Soto's just way too expensive on this team, especially because you have Lee coming back next season, who's making what, like 19?
Close
Yeah,
to
it goes
year.
up a lot.
It goes up this year.
So, I mean, Conforto isn't going to be back. I don't think Snell's going to be back, because Snell's going to be, he's going to be getting 30 plus. Soto's probably going to get 40, 50 plus. So I don't see a lot of big free agent signings. I would like to, but I think look out for Vlad. Just look out for the talk of Vlad, because I think the talk around Vlad is going to be there.
All right, let me pull up to you guys the payroll here for the Giants.
I'd follow up on Mark. He said not trading Vlad. They might go after Soto. I would say the second Soto signs back in New York or with one of the New York teams, Vlad's going to be on the market.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're not going to trade him when they think they might have a chance at a guy, because if they do get a guy like Soto, like, it changes their whole dynamic. But if they don't,
what are you saying, Cody? That
Mark put in the chat, he goes, Toronto not trading Vlad. Word is they're going to go after Soto. And it's that might be the case. But as soon as Soto signs in New York, Vlad's going to go on them. That suddenly is an option.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the Giants are going to have to give up,
They might have to give up an Eldridge for Guerrero.
I don't think so.
And you don't. I think they might have to. Like if that's what Toronto's going to want, but you can't do that. You just
Toronto can want him. They're not trading.
I think the value for Eldridge is much higher trade value, according to the trade machine, than Guerrero. Guerrero's, because he's going to enter his final year, it drops the value.
True. What do you think he's going to make? What do you think Guerrero is going to get per year?
35.
More than Chapman.
I wouldn't be shocked. Honestly, if the Giants were to trade for him, I actually wouldn't be shocked if like a 10 for 350 is the extension. Like, it's going to be a lot.
The thing is, though, if you get a Guerrero, he's going to end up being your DH, right?
Honestly, it's worth it. Like, if he can hit, like, you don't. Yeah, in a perfect world, you want the glove too. Like, you'd rather he play a position, but
Jung-Hoo Lee's contract, by the way, goes up to 17 next year, and then the next years after that, it's 23. But I think it's set for the
2025 17.
20 taxes is showing 18.83 against the CBT. So, if I'm reading this right,
Robbie Ray's making 23.
Yeah,
Robbie Ray's making 25. There's a lot of guys on this team that are actually making a good amount of money.
Yeah. You're gonna. This tells me with this Chapman signing that they're not going to be able to add 2 stars. And you know what else it tells me is ownership going to re-up this amount of money after Farhan was given the highest payroll in the history of the Giants, and they are finishing 10 games below 500 for the season and going to be a 4th place team and miss the play. Are they going to run it back and say, spend that money again?
I don't know how you can say that, and I don't know how you can put your trust in Farhan, someone who's let you down year after year after year. And let me ask you guys this: do you see a way that they can extend Chapman and still fire Farhan? Because to me, I just don't really see a possibility of Farhan being fired now.
If the bottom completely falls out this month, I could.
You think
That's
so?
why I put a
It-
tweet out
like-
the other night that I did. You want the Giants to finish like in their final 24, like 5-19, and they finish 73-89. You want to see just a meltdown. It's what got Kapler out, and they should have got, if you get the players ticked off enough and say things got to change around here, maybe. But if they go win 8 to 10 games and they finish, 77-85, he's back. He's probably back.
Do you think he negotiated this deal, or is there a possibility
Yes.
ownership negotiated the deal?
I think he negotiated and ownership signed off on it.
Okay.
I mean, this to me is going to the only hope the Giants have and this is such a long shot. And I think they just, like Cody said, they solidified third base. But if you are going to go offer Juan Soto 10 years, 550, I think it's going to take a minimum of that to get him. I think it takes 550, maybe 600. I think he signs in New York somewhere in that range, 10 and 5.
You think he's going to get $500 million?
I think he's going to get $500 million. He turned down $440.
When did he turn that down?
A couple years ago with the Nationals.
Yeah.
But
And
that wasn't 10 though. That was what? That was like
It was more years. It was like 12.
okay.
It wasn't like 15.
Maybe it was.
I think it was really long.
440. He's going to get
I mean,
close
he's
to 5.
26.
He's going to get close to 500 million. Why is
You
he?
could still get. I
easily.
think I could see him getting still like a 14-year deal because he's like you just said, he's only 26. I mean,
Right.
how long
The
is
difference-
Judge signs for?
9 years. The difference between Judge was already 30 years old.
Exactly.
So, even though Judge owns the Yankees, it's his town, it's his team, Soto's going to get more because of his age. And look, I think the Yankees find a way to re-sign him. That's going to be such a battle between the Mets and the Yankees that one of those teams' egos is going to it's going to shoot up and up and up, and the Giants are going to go.
I could definitely see a possibility of Steve Cohen just completely
absolutely.
unloading everything for Juan Soto. I could definitely see that possibility.
Yeah, and you know what's? I mean, I see George 13-7. I see another one, Kifnov 15-700. I could see 13 between 13 and 50. I could see, Harper signed for what? Didn't he sign for 13 years?
That's the other big miss for the Giants.
Yeah. Look, guys,
Him and Judge are the two.
why would Soto be the one guy that says, okay, I'll come to San Francisco. You're going to pay me a little more than the Mets and the Yankees. Okay. I'm going to get 4 or 5 million more. Why? I don't see it. In fact, I see this big battle going on in the New York media. The media drives these negotiations a lot too. And so the media is going to be so hyped up, and you watch, Mark, check this out. It's going to be this Mets Yankees. Okay. I'm going to play the scenario out for you. Here it comes in November, early December, right around the winter meetings. And I'll say that Soto signs a free agent deal right before the winter meetings or during the winter meetings. Is his agent Boris too?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Uh-huh.
Okay. He's going to use the winter meetings as this
build it up. And you watch what's going to happen. Boris is going to use Farhan to drive up the price
Always does.
between Cohen and Steinbrenner. And there's going to be news that's going to come out and say San Francisco is now a player.
Late push. They're making a late push.
And everybody's going to get all excited around here saying Soto's coming. And Boris is going to go, okay, just trust me, Juan. I'm going to work my magic with this clown. I've got him right here in my pocket. He lives right in my pocket constantly, and I just pull him out every time I need, a new deal. And he's gonna use San Francisco, and Farhan's gonna think they're in on this deal, and Farhan's gonna come up with this big offer of $650 for 12 years. And Boris goes, I got a deal on the table right now, $12,650. And Cohn's go, all right. Give me $700 for 13 years. And he's going to go, tung. And watch, the Giants will be in the mix as a player, and it'll come down to one of the New York teams. I could see it. Because if Farhan's there, he gets played like a piano. I mean, he's just going to get played. And the only chance the Giants actually have of getting a Soto is if they had a real top-notch negotiator like a Ned Colletti who knows how to deal with Boris and is not going to just be pushed around by Boris, because Farhan will get. Oh gosh. I am not going to fall for Juan Soto coming to San Francisco. I'm not going to put that hype on this show. No,
I could see the only way I can see Farhan getting Soto and Soto wanting to sign here is if they make a trade earlier in the offseason for a player like a Guerrero, because you need the stability in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
This team next year has Ramos. They're going to have Lee, who's still a huge question mark. They're going to have Chapman. They're going to have Fitzgerald. They're going to have – I mean, that's pretty much it on the hitting side. Those are the guys that implement any type of fear at all. Those are the guys who've had good seasons. Maybe you have a Luciano. Maybe you have a Matos, but that's not enough to try to attract one of the biggest free agents ever. You need to have a lineup that instills fear into the opponent. And
if you want to get Soto, you better go get a trade, a Vladdy Guerrero type player before. You're right, because Soto isn't not coming without. I mean, who's behind me? Farhan, who do you got behind me? I'll bat second. Who do you got? Are you going to move Chapman up to third? Oh, great. Where do I sign? I mean, how about, Ramos would benefit from a Juan Soto, just like Judge is benefiting this year again of Juan Soto. Soto bats second, Judge is third.
And Soto gets better at bats because Judge is behind him.
Exactly. They both get benefit. Yeah. I mean, actually, Soto benefits more. And I think Soto re-signs with the Yankees. Imagine that tandem of Soto and Judge for the next 7 years. I mean,
the one thing I'll say with the Yankees is I don't know if they're going to give him the money. Because I think they have the money, but they've been pretty reluctant to spend money.
Oh, they'll give him the money. You know why?
You think they'll give him the money? I think there's
look how bad they were last couple. I mean, they need the extra push. They realize they need that second star. They don't have it.
That's true.
Judge cannot carry them to the championship. If you look at the Yankees without Soto last year, and Judge, when Judge was hurt, pretty much identical numbers offensively to the Giants. Basically, the Giants are Judge and Soto away from competing.
I think they are, because if you look at the Giants lineup, there isn't a bad player. Like, there are a bunch of average players, a couple above average player. But
Wait, I hold on. I got to object to that. We need we need something. Would you say? Could you repeat that again? There isn't
a good player in this lineup. There's a bunch.
You said bad player.
There isn't a good player. There also isn't a bad player.
Wait, just say the bad part. There isn't a bad player in the Giants lineup.
There isn't a bad player in this Giants lineup. I can't hear anything. I still can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear?
Oh,
come on. There isn't a bad player offensively?
Okay.
Have you seen Patrick Bailey's at bats?
Okay. Let me explain myself a little bit. When you're comparing the Giants lineup to the Yankees lineup, right? If you're just looking at the statistics and OPS of the Giants lineup, there's a bunch of guys that are in that 700 OPS rank. Like 7 out of their 9 players are in that 700 OPS mark. If you look at the Yankees, they have Soto, they have Judge, they have Chisholm, but after that, I mean, the Verdugo's struggling. Gleyber Torres is struggling.
Yeah,
I don't think they have a catcher who's
without Judge and Soto. The Yankees are awful offense.
Exactly, and that's my point. It's like the Giants have a high ceiling and low floor offense. It's not a great offense. It's a pretty bad offense.
You just tried to talk yourself into the Giants aren't that bad, and you realize
individually just by looking at the stats, they're not so bad. But I mean, as a collective team, they're really bad.
Well, it's a lot of the construction of the team too. You signed an entire team of swing and miss guys. There's no contact in there except Jung-Hoo Lee.
No balance.
Yeah, there's no balance.
There's no length.
And Jung-Hoo Lee, that's why the rallies go to die throughout the order, because there's too much. You can have that's why second and third, they get non-productive outs all the time. Either a strikeout or a pop-up, but there's no hey, sac fly. I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee, when he was playing, remember how many, I don't even know, I wonder how many sac flies he had. He used to drive in runs.
I mean, how many times did he just slap the ball and on the ground? The reason why this Giants team is so bad with runners in scoring position, Dan, and you just said it, because they strike out too much. They don't have a philosophy, and if you, as a pitcher, if you have second and third, no one out, runner on third, no one out, runner on second, no one out, runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs, that's an automatic strikeout situation as the pitcher. From a pitcher's perspective, if you have runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, you're trying to strike the guy out. You're not just trying to locate and have him hit a ground ball or hit a sacrifice fly. You're wanting to strike him out. So you're most of the time getting the pitcher's best stuff. And then a lot of the times the Giants just can't hit the pitcher's best stuff because the Giants just aren't good enough. So that's pretty much what it comes down to. The Giants' offensive philosophy is just so unbalanced. It's skewed to one side. It's not balanced at all, and they just don't hit for contact enough. They don't hit for contact enough. And when you have the opportunity to put the ball in play, hit a weak ground ball, hit a sacrifice fly, they just can't do that because they're too focused on going for it big.
And so much of that is approach, and I don't even necessarily mean no adjustments. I just mean this team, it's like I brought it up earlier. The only thing I said earlier that what does this team do well? And I'm like, the only thing they do well is get pitches out of pitchers. That's it. They're 5th in the league in most pitches per at bat. Yeah. And this team, they get a runner on third with less than 2 outs, for example. They don't ever hunt that first pitch mistake. They don't ever hunt that good pitch to hit early in the count. they stick to their philosophy of, oh, we're going to work deep in counts. And it's like, well, guess what? You're going to strike out a lot.
They don't hit pitchers right down the middle either. I mean,
how many times have we seen Chapman just swing and miss at pitches?
How many times have you seen a Giants hitter just look at strike three right down the middle?
Oh, constantly.
Too many.
I mean, look, I mean, I know it happens in baseball a lot with a lot of the way the game's played today, but it's just too much. Look, the Giants, I am not sold on. I like Fitzgerald. I really do. I think he's a player that I would personally use him around the field because I think if you can get better at every position, then you can give a guy a day off or two. Maybe somebody's in a slump and Fitzgerald says, I would use the Fitzgerald like the Dodgers did with Chris Taylor. But that being said, that only works if you have better players to play. You know, where
exactly.
You're not moving Fitzgerald around because you're moving him around because you're giving maybe a guy a day off who belongs in the lineup every day, and that you can find. I mean, Fitzgerald could actually even play first base. We've seen him play first base.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe there's your guy that could. Maybe you go out and get an Adames. Maybe you make incremental moves and you get an Adames and you go out and sign a Max Fried and an Adames and
Teoscar Hernandez maybe.
And a Teoscar Hernandez is that other outfielder to team up with Lee and Ramos. And then Yaz becomes your fourth outfielder. And, Fried gets into the lineup. And then you sign another pitcher along the lines of a Seth Lugo who pitched, not Seth Lugo, but I think he might be available because he did sign a 1-year deal. But guys along that line that can eat innings up for you, and you go into the season with 6 or 7 starters
and actual legit named starters. You can't just go into the league hoping Tristan Beck and
right. Oh, come on, Tristan Beck, please. Let's. I mean,
guys who have proven to eat innings. Because I asked Bobby this yesterday, and we mentioned it. The 2012 Giants starting rotation had 5 starting pitchers who threw 180 innings at least. They had all 5 of their starters threw 180 innings, and that is one of the biggest reasons why their bullpen was so fresh, and they had a lights out bullpen for that run. When you don't have starting pitching, it eats into the bullpen. We've seen it last year. We've seen it this year. You've had a good bullpen. Like your bullpen on paper is really good. It's just these guys get worn out. And by the end of the season, they're just completely done. And if you can have a starting rotation that is consistent, I mean, I could care less about the ERAs for the 4th and 5th starter. If they can just consistently eat innings and give you 5 to 6 innings every time they pitch, that's going to be so helpful down the road.
Yeah, it does. It helps. Like you said, it does help the bullpen. So I've got to say that this lineup, as I look at it, and I think, Cody, you see it very clearly as well, both of you guys do, that they got to find some guys that make contact. You can't have only Jung-Hoo Lee as your only contact hitter. You can't have 8 guys in your lineup with a 25% K rate or higher. I mean, I don't even know what their K rates are. I know Chapman's is up there. League average is like 25. I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee's down around 9-10% when you consider plate appearances, I think, roughly. You got to find a couple guys that are below 20. You got to have some guys that can actually put bat on ball when there's runners in scoring position. Because look at the Diamondbacks, how they just score and score and score. And I mean, if I pulled up
sub 20 for Ben. Sorry.
What's that?
He said, how's Kim doing in San Diego? I mean, he's not a high average guy, but he won't strike out a ton. He'll be sub 20.
I mean,
I have it pulled up. I have it pulled up, Dan, right here. Do you want me to tell you the strikeout percentages?
Yes, please.
Matt Chapman's at 24.4. Patrick Bailey, 22.2. Tyler Fitzgerald, 29.9. Elliot Ramos, 27.5. Mike Yastrzemski, 25.5. Lamont Wade, 22.5. I mean, it's a lot of these guys are just strikeout guys. and they just don't put the ball on the
Where
barrel.
are you pulling that up at on the lineup?
Fan graphs. Michael Conforto is at 24.8. Jorge Soler was at 24.7. Grant McCrae's at 44%.
Pull up the Diamondbacks. I know they have guys that strike out, but I'm just curious because they score so many doggone runs. It's pathetic.
Okay.
And the Dodgers. I want to see what the division looks like because I bet you Freeman's probably under 20.
All right. The D-backs. Ketel Marte, 17.8%. Corbin Carroll, 18.3%. Jake McCarthy, 16.3%. Jock Peterson, 23.6%. Christian Walker, 24.9%. Eugenio Suarez, 26.8%.
Those are your three power guys.
Those are your three power guys. And those are the three guys on the whole team. Those are the only three guys on the whole team that have a strikeout percentage of 20 or greater. Gabriel Moreno, 14.3%. Lourdes Gurriel, 18.8%. Perdomo, 15.5%. Kevin Newman, 14.6%. Randall Grichuk, 17.1%.
See, I mean, I didn't even know those stats, but I've watched enough baseball to see these guys just put the bat on the ball. How about the Dodgers?
Let's look at the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, 22.5%. Mookie Betts, 11.6%. Freddie Freeman, 15.7%. Teoscar Hernandez, 28.4%. Will Smith, 20.1%. Miguel Rojas, 9.9%. Gavin Lux, 22.1%. Max Muncy, 29.5%. Andy Pages, 25%. Austin Barnes, 24%. Jason Hayward's at 18.3%.
Okay,
so
you mentioned Pages and Muncy. Those are two strikeout guys that, and you were right, Cody, about him, against other teams other than the Giants. But did you hear those numbers? Betts, 11. Freeman, what was he, 15?
15.7.
See, guys, this is the problem with the Giants. They don't – every one of their guys except – and we didn't name Jung-Hoo Lee because he's not in there, but he would be the only guy under 20, right? Everybody was over 20 with the Giants, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's look at the Padres.
Yeah, look at the Padres. Okay,
Jackson Merrill, 17.7. Profar's at 14.9. Ha-Sung Kim's at 16.4. Manny Machado, 18.5. Fernando Tatis, 20.6. Jake Cronenworth, 17.7. Kyle Higashioka's at 28.9. Xander Bogaerts, 16.9. Luis Arias, 3.4. 3%. Donovan Solano's at 20%.
Yeah, he pinch hit tonight. I saw him and he walked.
And they have another guy, Eggy Rosario.
Okay, guys, you want to see why the Giants are a fourth place team? We just did it. NorCal Sports Network did your homework for all you Giants content creators that want to take our information. This is where you come for real baseball information, right here. And Cody's got it too, man. I'm telling you, you want baseball content or you want just, hypo stuff. Guys, we're giving you legit baseball information why the Giants suck, okay? I did not even know any of those stats in my head. I just did it with my eyes, and I've told everybody how bad the Giants are. Too much swing and miss. I said it day one on Twitter that this lineup scares nobody, and Lamont Wade was batting third in line. I said this is and Wade ended up having a great first half until he got injured. He was nearly on base 50% of the time. But guys, this is what is the Giants. And they're going to be the same next year because who's coming back? All the guys we just mentioned in that lineup. And now we know Matt Chapman is coming back at a 24.4% K rate. And you know what? What's the other guy's name they brought up? The guy from Mexico. I'm not crazy about him. I bet he's over 22. What's his?
I pulled it down. I'll pull it back up. You keep on talking.
I'm not high on this guy. I know other people are. You know what? I've watched baseball too much to know this guy is not the answer to the Giants.
He's a legit strikeout, home run, walk guy.
Yeah. What is he, like 27%?
He is at 31.
Okay, there we go. Even higher. Come on, guys. You can't have guys like Encarnacion on your baseball team when the rest of the team is all Ks. This is why the Giants do struggle with runners in scoring position because everyone swings like this. up, and the ball's right here, coming right under him. It's just over and over and over again. And you guys who love this team, enjoy fourth place. No, Juan Soto is not coming to the Giants next year. What's going to make him come? I want to sign with the Giants. I'm telling you, the only opportunity is like you guys mentioned, is if they went out and made a trade for a star player and then they offered way higher money than anybody else. They're not getting free agent hitters to come here. And if Farhan's doing the negotiations, forget it. Forget Soto. You think Juan Soto is going to come and Farhan's going to sell Juan Soto on the San Francisco Giants?
No, the answer is no.
No.
Period. It's not even a chance. The only chance you have of getting a Soto is if Farhan is gone. And even then, your chances are, they put the odds as like 5 teams. They're saying 4 or 5 teams. They're saying it's the Mets, Yankees, Giants, and Blue Jays are going to be the big suitors for Juan Soto. And the media is going to, and you know what? Where are they getting some of this information? Scott Boras is going to feed some reporters, especially John Heyman. Hey, John, it's put this out there. I wouldn't be surprised if John Heyman has check his Zelle account. Boras probably Zells money to John Heyman to report these things.
Dan, I'm looking at it right now. Guess how many hitters players that have hit for the Giants have had a plate appearance for the Giants. Guess how many players have a strikeout percentage under 20%?
That have played for the Giants or this year?
That have had one at bat for the Giants.
Just one at bat?
That's what I'm looking at, yeah.
How many players under 20%?
Yep.
Besides Jung-Hoo Lee?
No, including Jung-Hoo Lee.
I'll say Jung-Hoo Lee under 20%.
No, 3. I think Flores.
I'm gonna name. Flores had a rough year.
Yeah, but he was under 20 strikeout.
Was he? You sure? Are you looking at it?
I'm pretty confident.
Okay.
He's usually like 13 or 14%.
I think he struck out a lot this year, though. I'm not even going to say Flores. I'm going to say Jung-Hoo Lee. And have we seen who? Let me think of some players that have come up. Slater was higher. Yaz, we already know, is higher.
Actually, 4. I'm going to go 4.
I'm trying to think of some players that have popped up on the team. I can't even remember all the guys that. Do we have to just the number or the? I want to name the guys.
Just give me the number.
2.
It's 5. It's Jung-Hoo Lee, Wilmer Flores, Luis Matos,
Ahmed,
Kurt Casale, and
I was going to say
Estrada.
Casale. Casale was my guy. Okay.
Ahmed's at 20.3. Tyro Estrada actually had a 19.
I'm pretty sure Ahmed was under 20 with the Giants. So
okay, that's probably what it is.
Okay.
But
I'm
pretty
sure
Tyro had a 2.6% walk rate. So that
wow.
was just it.
Hey, before Cody, I know Cody's got to go. He's been up late.
Yeah.
Let's play some.
I had to get up at 2:45.
Let's play some quick highlight. You want? How long are the highlights of Eldridge?
Oh, it's like a minute and minute and a half, maybe.
All right, guys. Do we want to do the sound too? We can do the sound, right?
There's no sound on it.
Okay.
It was
all right.
It was just a muted.
All right, here we go. Oops, let me put it back up. Bryce Eldridge, everybody.
This is just some highlights from last week whipped together. He won Northwest Player of the Week.
Wow, look at
prior
that
to his
swing.
call up. I mean, he's got power to. This guy thought he got it.
Oh yeah,
he's
face mash.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that.
It's just
Oppo.
Just love to see it.
This is Bryce. It reminded me of Bryce Harper a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll use the entire field. Look at where this ball hits.
Oh, whoa, with the batter's eye.
It was an absolute bomb.
Oh my goodness.
For anybody, I'm going to be doing a live tomorrow night too. I put together an entire video where it's I spent way too much time this weekend putting together an 8.5 minute long video of his highlights. So we're going to be talking Bryce there as well.
Very
but
good. Okay,
it'll
tomorrow
have
night, guys, you'll probably want to catch Cody about 8:30.
Yeah.
Even Year Dynasty Show. Come here to NorCal Sports Network at 6:30. We'll have Dave Dervecki, former San Francisco Giants pitcher, and you're going to want to hear Dave's story. It's going to be awesome. Wow, look at this. This is up in Eugene, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they playing at the University of Oregon?
Mhm.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah, PK. Yeah, it's a pretty neutral park. It's a pitcher friendly league as a whole, but it's a pretty neutral park overall during the warmer months. It's similar to Richmond. It's a lot tougher in the spring, when the season starts, but when it warms up, it's a little more neutral.
That's awesome. That's
Cody,
awesome.
where do you see Eldridge playing out next year? Because I mean, he's going to start in AA most likely.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think he gets hot and do you think they rush him into AAA and try to get him ready to play at the big league club next year, or do you think they play it slow? They treat him like a number one prospect, 19-year-old, and just play him out in the minors for next year and get him ready for opening day 2026.
So the second one is what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I would want him to play probably into June in AA at least. Get him at least 2 or so full months.
When does the minor league season start?
How late?
Yeah.
I think AA and AAA were only AAA was like a week after the regular season.
Okay.
I think the other 3 were 2 weeks.
All right.
I'm trying. Don't quote me on that one.
All right.
but I know AAA, like AA season, I think runs 1 week longer than high A or single A.
Okay.
But I think he'll definitely start in AA. I think June or July, you'll probably see him up in AAA.
That's what I have marked for. Yep.
But the problem is like with this front office, I mean, it could be June 1st. Like this front office, like they don't like letting their big time hitting prospects sit in AA. And I don't know if it's like they're worried about confidence or what, but they just don't. So I do think he's going to end up in AAA at some point next season, middle of the season. And then if he keeps hitting, I mean, there's a chance, like Dan said earlier, there's a chance he makes an appearance. I do think opening day 2026, like that's my hope. And I know there's a lot of people that want to see him sooner. And it's like, I get it, but people need to remember he's only going to be 20 years old for the entirety of next season.
Right.
Like,
look, guys, James
October.
Wood of the Nationals, they moved him along at a good pace. He's 21, James Wood? And he was like the second ranked player in all of the minors behind Jackson Holiday for a while. But they didn't rush him. They let him succeed at AAA. And I've heard people say they think that the Giants will have him skip AAA altogether and just bring him up. I don't see that. Can you see that at all?
With Farhan, nothing surprises me, honestly.
True.
So maybe if they felt like he was ready, I mean, this is going to be kind of out on a limb, but I personally think Eldridge could literally play in a major league lineup right now and not be like totally overwhelmed. I'm not going to say he'd go out there and be super successful and a great hitter or anything. I just don't think he'd be like so overmatched. Like he would at least look like he belongs.
I mean,
that's my feeling now.
Just don't rush him to where you blow his confidence, where you get him past, let him have some success in AA, move him to AAA, let him have some success there.
Just do it right.
And just give him enough at bats where he gets ideally, I mean, I don't know how many at bats he's had this year. Has he had 350 roughly? What's his
he's probably close to 400. He's played in 100 games.
Okay. I want to see him get 700-800 at bats in the minors.
Yeah.
And if he's killing it, he's ready. So another year next year I mean, this year he'll get, or I should say next year, if he stays healthy, he should get a much more at bats because he'll start the season. Where this year, didn't he start in San Jose?
San Jose.
San Jose.
He was in San Jose, yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually crushing high A better than he did low A, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 452. He has 582 total plate appearances.
Okay, great. Let's get him 1,000. Let's get him close. Let's get him 1,000 at bats in the minors, plate appearances.
That's between complex, A ball, high A, and now double A.
Right. Get him 1,000 plate appearances. He should crack that next year. Mm-hmm. And you might see him in September as the rosters increase. Heck, if the Giants by some crazy blue moon, once in a blue moon chance are in the playoff hunt, and they want to bring him up before September 1st to put him on the active roster because they think he's killing it that much, that could happen. But I don't think you see the Giants in any kind of race next year, guys.
No, probably not.
You're looking at another 4th place finish. And if Farhan stays here, and you've heard it here on NorCal Sports Network, if Farhan is here during the Matt Chapman era that is now officially become a 7-year contract, you will see the San Francisco Giants, that orange hat right up there, fall to the bottom as Colorado surpasses them during the Matt Chapman contract. This team, unless they add somebody else along, to help out Bryce Eldridge, you need another star player. I don't know where that's coming from. They've got to find contact. I bet you Bryce. Do we know what Bryce Eldridge's strikeout rate, K rate is this year?
He was in between 24 to 25% in high A. He's been between 24 and 26.
Okay,
everywhere.
I'm happy with that. That's
what's his walk rate?
Well, it's in. Let me pull up his fan graphs because that'll have the total. But I think it was only like 8 or 9 this year. It was down in A ball, but then he went to Eugene and it was like 19%. Like it was insane. I mean, he absolutely destroyed Eugene. It's like one of the best seasons they've ever had out of anyone, especially a teenager.
I mean, yeah, Cody, you've said that he has 40 home run potential. So if
in this park,
yeah, as a power hitter, it's rare that you can have a Soto type power hitter where they just don't strike out. Power hitter's going to strike out.
Exactly. Oh yeah, Soto doesn't strike out. That guy's got the best eye in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, he would be a great addition to this lineup. He would be a great addition.
But
he would be. They ought to offer him the moon. I mean, if they could, I will eat my words.
Bryce's walk rate. So by level, I'm not going to count double A. He's had like 7 plate appearances or 8 plate appearances. In complex league last year, it was 14.8. Then he went to A ball. It was 15.9. That was in 61 and 69 plate appearances each. Then in 229 plate appearances in A ball this year, it was 7.4. And then in 215, so it actually dropped, but his power numbers went way up because it had been like 20% for a while in high A, but in 215 plate appearances in Eugene, it was 16.3.
I mean, that's still pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean
that's really good. Yeah,
that's real good. Yeah, I think it'll settle in 12%, 13, 12. I don't know, somewhere in there.
Somebody asked, I think it was Senior, do you think he could be in Sacramento for the playoffs
No, I don't.
River Cats?
And you know what? The last thing I'm gonna really say on Eldridge, just because if he has another year like this next season, because I mean, what he's doing right now, I mean, this is like they were comparing it to like the best teenage seasons we've seen in the minor leagues, and it's like a top 5 teenager season in the minors in the last 20 years or something like that. It's insane. Like he's having an incredible year. I mean, he might finish with a 90 RBI season. Like he's at like 87 now.
Wow.
Which is nuts. In 100 games. And I'm not the biggest RBI guy because to me it's so opportunistic, but I mean, he capitalizes constantly. And so, I mean, it's pretty awesome to see what he's doing. But the last thing I'll say really about him is as much as I want to see get 900, 1,000 at bats or whatever, if his bat truly is, if he's just truly one of those special guys that forces it, I'm not going to hold him back just to hold him back. Like
we saw
he
Juan Soto
is that
19.
guy.
Juan Soto
Yeah.
was 19 when he
Yeah.
played. Wasn't he 19 in the
Yeah, he was.
World Series year?
Yeah. Not the World Series year, but when they first called him up, because he got first called up when Harper was still there.
That's right.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they let Harper walk, and Soto. Well, I think it was the year Harper walked that they won it.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I know you got to run, Cody. Thanks for joining everybody. Check out Cody's show, Even Year Dynasty Show. Make sure you go like and subscribe. He's got a lot of great content over there. He does a live now and then, and he puts out a lot of videos. So check him out. Cody joins us every Wednesday night. Minor League Report. Really, the only guys right now we're interested in hearing tonight was Eldridge. I mean, he is the story, and we'll get more content next week. The minor league seasons are starting to wrap up here, and so there won't be a lot of statistics going too much, going forward. But check Cody out. We'll continue on here talking a little bit more Giants, Bora and I. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Cody will go on, I believe, probably about 8:30.
8:30 to 9, somewhere in there. I'll work it out with the other two guys.
So. Yeah, and then we'll be coming on early at 6:30 with Dave Dravecki. Giants play afternoon game tomorrow, so you're not going to want to miss Dave Dravecki, former Giants player. You're going to want to hear his story. We're going to hear a lot about the 87 and 89 Giants. We're going to hear Dave's story, what happened to him, and it should be a great night. If you missed last night, we had Bobby Evans, former GM of the San Francisco Giants. That was a fantastic interview. Just listening to Bobby kind of inspired me to realize there is a different way to do baseball that the Giants aren't doing it. There's a human element to it. There's trusting your manager, I heard him say, and he doesn't letting your manager make the lineup out. Very refreshing. Very refreshing. So go back, check some of the old shows out, guys. Yeah, we've had Sean Estes in the last week, Ned Coletti, Marty Lurie, Ron Rivera of football coach of the Panthers and Washington Commanders. So yeah, and we've got more coming, guys. We've got more coming, and they're all in the hopper. Alex Mack, 49er, former center for the 49ers, will join us here within the next week, hopefully. But Cody, we're going to let you go because I know you got to get up in about 3 hours. So we'll or 2 hours, whatever it is.
No, I won't be getting up till closer to 6, but I've been up since 2:45.
Oh, you've been up since get to bed, man. Otherwise, you're going to hit that.
I got the red eyes going. People are going to start thinking that I was.
Yeah. We don't want. Yeah. Once you cross that path where you've been up too long, then you can't sleep, man. You don't want that.
Dan knows all about the red eyes.
Yeah.
All right, man.
They're gummies, I swear. Take it
easy, Cody. Everybody, again, Cody B at Even Year Dynasty Show. Check him out and have a great night, Cody. Thanks.
See you guys. Have a good one.
All right. Mark Graves says it's legal. Oh man. I am pull up the screen here a little bit. You guys want to take a look at that Giants hat again in fourth place? They're it's a little blurrier. It's
not as focused. There it is.
There it is. Okay. Ta-da. Fourth place, we bring you. I am wearing the second place Diamondbacks hat as they go for the sweep tomorrow, which I think they probably get. Who's pitching tomorrow?
That's a great question.
Does anybody care?
I have
Just-
I have tuned out. I have just tuned out. I could care less, really. Season's over. Everybody knows it's over. Players know it's over. Manager knows it's over. GM knows it's over. Fans know it's over. Season's over.
The season's over. It ended early, guys. They're almost to the point where they're mathematically eliminated. They are in the wild card right now. The Giants are 8.5 back. Hey, guys, do you remember my early season prediction? I think I'm going to be right. Should I gloat? Oh, gosh. I don't. Maybe not. Maybe not. Because I'm going to eat humble pie one of these days.
All you need to know, everybody, is Dan knows ball. Dan, you've been watching baseball a long time.
54 years, guys. And I want to show you what I'm talking about. I want to pull up here the standings to the wild card. And I just we'll just pop it up right here. Wild card. Do you guys remember what I said the Giants would finish this year in the National League? 3rd tier. There's 15 teams. Tier 1 through 5. Tier 2, 6 through 10. Tier 3, 11 through 15. I had the Giants in the 3rd tier. Where are they at right now? Okay, San Diego's 4 because they're the first wild card. They moved ahead. No,
they're 11. They're 10, I think.
How's San Diego?
They've won 3 in a row. They just walked off the Tigers, I think.
Okay,
Right.
I thought Arizona was ahead of.
You're gonna have to update that.
Is this the up-to-date standings? Is this?
Let me look at the standings I have.
Because this doesn't look right.
Yeah, that's up to date. That's up to date.
Okay, all right. There you go. I guess I got to move the hats again. San Diego 4, Arizona 5, Braves 6, Mets 7. I told you the Cubs would pass the Giants, didn't I? At the All-Star break, and they were like 5 behind them. And everybody goes, "Really? You think the Cubs?" I says, "Yeah, Cubs." Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cubs are 8. Cardinals are 9. Giants are 10. Cincinnati 1 game behind at 11. Pirates 2.5. Wouldn't surprise me to see the Giants finish between Pittsburgh finish above the Giants. But I definitely think Cincinnati surpasses them and the Giants finish at least 11th. Okay. Look, guys, you want to crap on me as some negative Nancy dude and all the hate I've got on Twitter. Where is all that hate now? I haven't seen those peeps show up lately. They all popped up. There's like crickets coming out of the woodworks when the Giants won like 4 in a row. And they're like, oh yeah. I said, just wait till they lose 7 of 10. You'll vanish so quickly. And they've been gone for about 3 weeks. Look, when they were in Seattle over a week ago, we played Turn Out the Lights. The party's over a week ago, guys. That's calling it pretty soon. When
we've known the entire season, though.
Yeah, we've known the entire season. But we said they were going to – the season was over when they lost the game in Seattle. Was that the game Blake Snell pitched Saturday? I think they won the Friday game. They lost Saturday, Sunday, didn't they?
Which game was the really good game with the steals and the bunts and everything?
Saturday.
Was that Saturday?
Wait. Yeah, that was the game they won. But I think I said turn out the lights on Friday. Okay. Yeah, the game they were ahead and they blew it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the game that they came. I said, turn out the lights. It's over. Season's done. They suck, guys. They absolutely stink. We went through their strikeout ratio. Everyone in the starting lineup is over 20%. Who was under 20? Was there one person?
No, not anybody right now.
Nobody in the lineup is a K rate under 20%. And we did every other team in the National League except the meaningless team, the Rockies. I wonder what the Rockies is, just for, you know.
I'll pull it up.
Just to see.
Fun. Yeah.
Just for fun. I mean,
But I mean, if you didn't know what you were watching, if you didn't watch baseball at all, you just tuned in to these last 2 games against the Diamondbacks at home. The stadium's empty. The Giants look like complete shit. You can if you knew nothing about baseball and you're just watching the game, you could tell that this isn't a playoff team and they're one of the worst teams in the National League just by watching the past 2 games. I mean, this right now is the time. I mean, everybody knows it's over, but against the series against the Marlins in these past 2 games was the time to see if you have anything left in the tank. And it's obvious they didn't, and they won't. They were never going to have anything in the tank, but it's just they're playing like they're already eliminated. That's how they're playing right now.
Yeah. Hiroku. Chapman, 235 and 73 RBIs, 2025, great season, I guess, for 25 May. Look, guys, everybody who's gloating and thinking this Chapman deal, what did Chapman do for you this year? And I don't think they add anybody of significance. Look, they signed Jorge Soler to a 3-year deal and traded him after 3 months.
Is Soler a Boris guy?
No, I don't think so. But what agents? I mean, what free agents worth are that are in that Soler Conforto category? Chapman might hit 30 homers, Mike. No, not this year. He's not hitting 9. How many's he got? 21 for the Giants right now?
I think it's 22. I think it's 22.
He's not hitting 8 home runs in the next 22 games.
I don't even know if they're going to play him. I think they might just stop playing him as soon as they're mathematically eliminated because they just signed him to this long-term deal. They don't want to ruin him and risk injury.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What did I say? The Giants were out. How many games? They're 8.5. They're 9 behind the Atlanta Braves in the loss column, meaning the Braves have to lose 10 more games because the Braves hold the tiebreaker. 10 more games than the Giants have. And the Giants have, so the Braves are 76 and 63. You got it? 76 and 63. They've played 139. They have 23 left. The Giants, the most the Giants can win right now is 90 games. They have 22 left. If the Giants win 20-2 and went 88 and 74.
What would you do? If that happened, what would you do?
80. If that happened, let's see. Let me see what the Braves would have to do. The Braves would only have to win 12 games.
If the Giants make the playoffs, what would you do?
If the Giants made the playoffs, I think that would be amazing because that would be one of the most unbelievable stories in Giants history. If they all of a sudden got hot, and if they got into the playoffs, I would think they're the 2007 Rockies. They would have a shot with the momentum to go to the World Series. It would be unbelievable if they went. I think for them to make the playoffs, they pretty much have to go 21-1 to win 89 games
against the Padres, Brewers, Orioles, Royals, D-backs, and Cardinals.
I think if they went 21-1, I will do a show on my inversion table upside down for 2 hours. How's that? In my underwear. In my underwear.
All right. I'm going to keep you to it.
21 yeah.
All right, they're not going 21-1. What do you What do you think they're going?
I think they're going to finish 76 and 86.
76 and 86.
So I think the most they have to go now is after I'm seeing the way they're playing and the teams they're playing, I don't even know if they win if they make it to 75 wins.
I was just thinking that. They have, how many wins do they have now? 68.
68. Where are the I thought they would. I put out they would win 8 to 10 games the other day, is what I think will happen. But after watching these last 2 games against Arizona, I think their only winnable games going forward are the games Webb and Snell pitch.
Birdsong is toast. Harrison is looking like toast. Ray probably won't pitch for the rest of the season. I guess you can see what you get out of Roop and Beck, but I mean, it's Snell and Webb. You got to ride it out. I mean, Webb's last couple games haven't been great either.
No, Webb looks like he's tiring. I'd shut him down.
Me too.
I'd shut him down. He's pitched a lot of innings the last couple seasons. He's been over 200 innings 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
You
Is he over 200 innings this year?
No, but he's good. He's on pace.
Because I know last year he was.
Yeah. I mean, I would just shut him down, man. Just save it. Save it. What for? He's already signed.
Yeah, what do you gain by throwing him an extra 3-4 starts?
Logan Webb, did you pull up his stats?
He's thrown 183 innings.
Okay, shut him down. I mean, come on. You're going to end up blowing his arm out. Seriously. You're going to wipe the dude out for the next couple years. Look, we know he has 200 innings in him. If you're going to pitch him, just limit him to 5 innings to start.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and
what?
As soon as he gets into any type of trouble where he's really stress pitching, just take him out.
Yeah, if you're going to pitch him, plan on pitching him for 5 innings, and he can leave the game tied 0-0 because the Giants don't score. Kitchen Handy. All right. Spencer, he says, hey, chat, just got home from the Jelly Roll concert and saw George Kittle. All right. Kittle. That sounds like fun. So is that Chapman's? I see Mike's comments. Is that his stats? 22 home runs, 69 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, 247 hitter. He doesn't have 69 RBIs this year, does he?
I think he might.
Maybe he does from that double with the bases loaded.
Let me look. I think he might.
I mean, and we're supposed to get excited over that?
Well, I mean, I'll say my last piece on Matt Chapman. It's, to me, the big negative is the contract, not the player. I'm fine with the player. It's not like a yay. He might not make an all-star team for the rest of his career while making $25 million a year. I think he's a one-time all-star. He's not a superstar. He wasn't an all-star this year, but he provides excellent defense, excellent base running. He's a great clubhouse guy.
Yep, you're nailing it.
He's a great guy to give you innings, and he'll play every day. The one thing is just his offense. He hits 247. I mean, the 2012 Giants, Brandon Crawford was their worst hitter, and he hit like 248. The league has just gone completely downhill. I'm fine with Matt Chapman. I'm fine with him. I'm not going to tell you that it's a horrible move because it does provide some stability at third base, which the Giants need. And whenever you can have stability for 6 years, that's fine. I would say though the 69 RBIs isn't great at all, especially when he's been your 4 and 5 hitter the whole year. It tells you, one, that he doesn't come through in the clutch, and two, that the Giants also just don't have a good enough offense to set the table for him. But he on the Dodgers, on the
Yankees,
Mets, on the Padres, maybe even on the D-backs. He's like a 6-7 hitter. He's not your cleanup hitter. He's not your 5 hitter. He's an above average player overall. He's elite defensively, elite base running, elite at pretty much everything except the offense. And the problem is, for this team, this Giants team, they just don't have enough
that's the
offense.
whole thing I have with Chapman. Nothing against Matt Chapman. Like I said, I think Matt Chapman's a great guy from what I can tell. He loves dogs. You love dogs. You're you're a winner in my corner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the person. I like the player all around. I just don't think he's the right fit for the Giants.
The way it's constructed right now.
Yeah, you're building around him. He's not who you build around.
You build around Soto. You build around Judge. You build around Mookie Betts. You don't build around Chapman. You don't build around guys who hit 22 to 25 home runs and bat 247. That's just not who you build around.
Right. I mean, Matt Chapman would be the final piece to the puzzle if you had the other pieces in place. He's not the main piece. And that's my issue, is that this money is not that was my whole issue this year.
It's not really well spent.
What I said in the off season is don't sign Chapman, go get pitching. The Giants, what did they come up short with this year? Starting pitching. It's like you can't. That's why I was pushing personally. I like the Snell deal, but they needed another pitcher, and they went and did it. They went and got Chapman instead. They needed to get more pitching. Look, this team is not ready to win, okay? That's my point, why you play the young guys. Because you know what? You might have an Elliot Ramos in somebody. You don't know. You don't know if Matos is good enough to be an everyday player. But you got to find out. And you don't know if Casey Schmidt's good enough to be an everyday player. But you got to find out. You drafted him second round. You don't know if Marco Luciano is an everyday player. But you got to find out.
And you are finding out right now. He looks good. I thought he looked pretty good today. His at-bats were pretty good.
His at-bats are fine.
His defense looked pretty good today.
I'm not worried about his at-bats. It's where you're going to find a spot for him. I personally would like to see him given a shot at first base. But, you guys that hate on Casey Schmidt, you know what? Let me just see this comment real quick here. God, haven't been here for a minute. He's still on Schmidt kick. I'm out. Good. Get out of here, Dreg. Goodbye. Look, what did I say about Casey? And you guys don't have good listening skills. Mike, you said Casey's not an everyday player. You don't know that. You guys don't know that.
Not right now, but he could be.
You drafted
him in the second round. You don't draft if he was a 10th round pick. Then fine, you can treat him like
he's a second round pick, guys.
He was your second pick.
He's your second pick. You said he's got a glove. The scouting report. Read the scouting report on Casey Schmidt. Can you pull that up while
I'll pull it up while you're talking.
Talking. The scouting report was that he's like Matt Chapman, guys, defensively, and he's how much are you paying Chapman? $25 million. How much is Casey? Less than $1 million. Okay. Use the money to go get somebody else. And the time to use Casey was last year. And you didn't do it because he struggled. And then he went down and he made adjustments. And you didn't bring him up till very late in the season. You should have brought him up in August and let him play and get the at-bats. And then you could have judged. You made the judgment. Do we need Matt Chapman? Look, I'm not saying Casey's the all be all, and he's been on this show, and I'm not saying this because he's been on this show. I'm saying you drafted him second round, and you don't know because you've done the same thing to Ramos. You did it to Matos. You did it to Joey Bart. You did it to Luciano, and you don't know if these guys can play. Play the guys and see. Hey, thanks for the super sticker, Michael. 99 cents. Appreciate it. All right. Didn't even have a comment. Just give us $1. All right. Does this signing mean that we're stuck with Farhan? Michael asks. It appears to me. Yes, Hiroku, you're exactly right. He's never played third base for a month. They moved him to shortstop last year, and then they moved him to second base, and they never let him play his natural position. I wish you could just watch highlights of Casey Schmidt in AAA at third base. fact, I may just pull some of those up somehow. I'll find some. But guys, this is the issue. The Giants don't play their young guys to know what they have. You got to know if they can play. If they can't, then you move off of them and you say, okay, we've got to make some trades. We got to go sign some free agents. But it's crazy. Okay, here's the scouting report on Casey. This was written when? By Maria Gerardo.
This was written this year, March 6, 2024.
A slick fielding third baseman with Gold Glove potential, Casey Schmidt often drew comparisons to Matt Chapman when he was coming up to the Giants' minor league system. The parallels meant a lot to Schmidt, who will now get a chance to be Chapman's teammate. Okay, yeah, they just signed Chapman. All right.
This isn't the scouting report. I couldn't find anything, so this is just like an article about what they said.
Oh, okay. You couldn't find the scouting report?
I looked at. Is it on MLB.com? Because I just searched up Casey Schmidt scouting report, and there's a bunch of different scouting reports and everything.
What year was he drafted? 22?
I think 21. I think maybe 2020. No, 2020.
2020. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. We'll pull up the draft here. Jim Callis. All right. Let me go to did he give us more than just the first round? Hopefully. I'm just digging through here. Darn it. It doesn't give me.
I don't know if you're going to. That might have to be a separate.
Oh, here it is. Complete pick by pick coverage. Draft. All right. So let's go to the round 2. I'll pull this up. Oh, wait. I don't want 2024. I want the 20. Here, let me go 2020. There we go. Let's go round. There's Bailey. All right, we're going to go to this. I'm getting close. I don't know. Okay. Let me look it up. Casey Schmidt. All right, here we go. Let's revisit this. Let me pull this up. We can do a video. We can always cut it out later, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just chop it off at the end of the show.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, you guys see that? There's Casey Schmidt, third baseman, shortstop, bio, scouting report.
Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah, I can't quite. It's not zoomable. I can't increase the.
What web, like, how'd you get there?
Just MLB.com 2020 draft. I just let's see, what are we saying? Schmidt is a top two-way guy in college ranks for the class of 2020 who could fit it. Okay. Let me see what has here's what they said about it. Schmidt has served as San Diego State's closer over the first 2 seasons, racking up 17 saves with a fastball splitter combination. He has a clean and easy delivery and consistently gets his fastball up to 94 miles per hour while keeping it fairly true. He'll throw the splitter 77 to 80 and has shown the ability. Okay. His bat, his raw power, best offensive tool also showed up on the Cape as he homered 5 times with a wood bat, equaling his total during his sophomore year with the Aztecs. He's a solid defender at third with that plus arm, enabling him to make every throw from the hot corner. Okay, that's not much. Okay, so there's no, let's see, news. I wonder if I had a video here. Let's see. Okay, this is not video when he was at, okay. We don't see a whole lot of video on him, actually, so, all right. Look, guys, I'm not telling you that Casey Schmidt is the answer, and it's not going to happen at third base. My biggest complaint with the Giants is they've never gone and done an actual rebuild and let the kids just play, and they've missed out again. We'll never know. Look, Joey Bart looks like he's a very solid, dependable catcher in the big leagues, and he's doing it in Pittsburgh. And he'll have a
He's
decent
gonna have
career.
A nice career. Yeah, he's gonna have a nice career in Pittsburgh.
Look, Hiroku, go look at George. Go look at Matt Williams' first 3 years. You guys that think you guys know baseball and rip because you watch stats. You guys watch a guy's at bats in his career. Go look at Matt Williams' first 3 years. He was awful. Struggled to hit 200. How many at bats has Casey had this year?
Let's look at that.
You know what? I could pull the whole thing up with Baseball Reference right here. If you look at his at bats in his career, it's like he's given very little opportunity.
When you have a team as bad as the Giants have been and as mid as the Giants have been, it shouldn't be so hard to get your young guys at bats. And now if this was the Dodgers or if this was the Yankees or the Braves or the Padres or the D-backs, if this was a team that was consistently vying for a playoff spot, I would understand it. You don't necessarily want to put your trust in a young 24, 25-year-old rookie who's going to be playing the hot corner or an important infield position. But the Giants aren't a playoff team, and they haven't been, and they aren't going to be in the near future. So there's no reason to not find out. That's the main thing.
That's the point. Yeah, he's had 86 at bats this year. He's only hitting 209, but he has 5 homers and only 86. At bats.
It's the walk rate. He has like a 1% walk rate.
Yeah, he needs to make adjustments. But the point is 339 lifetime at bats in the big leagues, whereas Matt Williams' first 3 years, it was like well over like 700 to 800 at bats or even more, and it was just awful.
Mm-hmm.
But you make the point, Bora, about Casey is this is the type of team that he should get at bats and playing time. He may never be more than just a journeyman player. He may just be a utility guy.
But
he may not be, but you'll never know. And it takes guys some time to develop, and he was not given a fair opportunity. That's my point. That is my point.
Mike, we're not comparing Casey Schmidt to Matt Williams. We're comparing Matt Williams' first 3 years to Casey Schmidt's first 2 years. We're not comparing the actual player. We're comparing the years and how they both have gotten off to a rough start, and how Matt Williams rebounded and was an all-star and a great player.
Borderline Hall of Famer.
World champion. And Casey Schmidt is in his second year, and we have no clue.
If the Giants are so high on Luciano, Matos, Schmidt, why did they not start them at the start of the season? Why bring in free agents to start? Giants just proved they drafted them too high. Well, Giants, you don't know until you play them. And the Giants make the mistake of devaluing them by bringing in free agents and not playing them, because you should trade them before that. If you don't think they're valuable, trade them before you start signing free agents.
Luciano and Matos are both Bobby Evans guys.
Right.
So I think the argument is and can be said that Farhan doesn't like them or isn't as high as on Luciano as we are here. But you've just completely thrown any trade value that they might have had down the drain. Luciano has no trade value. Matos has no trade value. If you're even thinking of a Guerrero, you're gonna have to give up a lot more, and Luciano isn't gonna get it done.
See you, Mark. Have a great night. Thanks for monitoring the chat. Appreciate you. Mark Graves, everybody. He'll see us tomorrow. We need to get out of here too. It's
12:30. Wow.
man. We've been going for almost 3 hours. A longer show, all because of Matt Chapman signing threw us into numbers in the 250 range tonight. And that's between X and here on YouTube. If you're watching on X, hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. Go to NorCal Sports, hit the subscribe button, man. We bring you more content and more accurate information, I think, than anybody out there in the Giants media world. Look, who called the Giants from the day one not making the playoffs? How many guys in this chat that we got some people that are agreeers, most of them, but how many people in the chat totally disagreed with all of us and called us, you, Bora, Los, and myself, haters?
A bunch.
I mean, just said we didn't know what we're talking about. And then when the Giants would start winning, they'd jump on Twitter and just, ream me a new one. And I just had to take it because I said, this team, I've watched baseball longer than most of you guys have been alive. And does that mean I have all the answers and I'm going to nail it every time? No, for sure not. I mean, I'm going to be off in my projections. Look, do you want to show guys that sports, you should be able to make, if you're confident in what you know, you should go out and make calls and predictions about a team. And that's what sports is. And
we all know what I said last year.
Oh yeah. Well, let's not bring that up.
Yeah.
Let's not bring the credibility too far down. Bora was a young 19-year-old kid last year, and the Giants got hot on a 10-game winning streak and said that they were going to win the division. You know what? I even got bought up in the hype and did a video and said, hey, I think they might make the playoffs because I bought into the Luciano thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's exactly what I did. Yep.
Yeah. And I was excited, but I quickly reiterated that and said, no, they're going nowhere. Look, guys, Giants are going to be down for a while. Get used to it. San Francisco Giants are going to be fourth place in the National League West as long as Farhan Zaidi's at the helm, period.
End of story, end of discussion.
Yeah, it's a fact, okay? Am I going to be wrong on my predictions? Yeah, I'll be wrong, and I'll miss him. And you know what? I'll own it. I'm not too proud to say, hey, I missed that call. I blew it. More power. Look, I told you guys Matt Chapman what he was going to do this year. And I'm sticking to it. He's going to hit between 220 and 240 and hit over 20 homers and drive in 75 to 80 runs is what I said he would do. I'm pretty close. He's a little over 240. I don't know where he's at right now.
He's at 247 or 248.
Okay. If he plays, he's going to go into a slump. And I was going to say he hits under 240.
You should bet on him and see if you can get the bet of him.
Heroku, can't wait for 25, and you're wrong again, Robert, but maybe they get that third crappy wild card.
The only way that they're going to be able to get that third wild card spot is if the NL Central just completely bottoms out and the NL East bottoms out, because the Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs. The Padres are most likely going to be in the playoffs. The D-backs are most likely going to be in the playoffs. The Dodgers they're not too young, but they have players. They have a lot of talent. The Padres are decently young and they have talent. The D-backs,
I like the Diamondbacks.
I like the D-backs a lot. The D-backs are super young. And I mean, Corbin Carroll has had if you look at his stats this year, he's had a decent year, but his first half of the season was absolutely awful. He was not helping the D-backs.
I drafted the dude in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to trade him because he was so bad.
No, but I mean, the D-backs are going to continue to be good next year. The Giants have to make significant improvements to this roster to even be in the conversation of the D-backs and Padres. Yeah,
the D-backs have a shortstop kid named Jordan Lawler. They drafted out of high school. He's like a top 10 prospect, and he's not even. They got Perdomo there, and Lowe's. Oh man. Oh gosh. guys, look, when the Giants have news, we'll bring it to you. But this is,
Don't get your hopes up.
guys, you get excited that Matt Chapman's coming back. You got him for 6 more years. What good did he do for this team this year other than kept him a few games closer to 500?
He's not the thing is going into next year. He's not an addition. He's
right.
He's the same.
He's the same, but it's a year
older. It starts off at whatever their record finishes at this year. That's what it starts at. It doesn't get any better or worse because they signed Matt Chapman. It's the same.
Right. And you basically have Matt Chapman, who now I will say this. What incentive does Matt Chapman have to go play for? You just signed him to a 6-year guaranteed deal with no trade. I mean, Matt Chapman looks like a professional. He doesn't look like a guy that's just going to dog it and say, I got my money.
I don't think so, no.
He's not that kind of guy. But what I'm saying is the motivation to go out. There was high motivation this year to have production because he said he was banking on himself. He wanted to opt out and go get his contract. He got his contract. Okay? He got his contract. And I've seen this in a lot of players. He's not a superstar. He's not Steph Curry, right? He's not Shohei Ohtani. You give the guy the money and they're just so stinking talented that they're going to perform, and they're so committed to their craft. Look, Chapman's a committed ball player. I'm not saying he's going to dog it in any way. He's not. He's going to give it his all. He's going to be but look, Matt Chapman is not a superstar, and you just paid him like he's
you paid him superstar money.
You paid him superstar money, and that what you're going to get out of him is you're not going to get anything better than what you got this year. Let's put it that way. It's not going to get better. It's going to either level off and he'll stay what he's producing this year for another year or two, or it's going to be a pretty significant decline year after year.
If you go by OPS plus, he's having his best year since 2019. And it's not a surprise that it's in a contract year.
Yeah, look at that. 121 versus 127 he did, and he had a look, when he was in 2018 he was 25, 2019 26. He's at the very back end of his prime right now. Figure your prime's what, 27 to 32?
Somewhere around there, yeah, give or take a few years.
Yeah. Look, guys.
The one thing, though, look at the games. It's consistent. 145, 156, 151, 155, 140, 136.
Yeah, that's what you get out of Matt Chapman. You're going to get productive play because he's going to show up. You can count on him to play. He's fundamentally sound. But look at his offensive numbers. Where's his just OPS? Take a look at his OPS. Look at the big years in 19, 848. And they've gone, and this year he's still under 800. Pull up what's a comparable? Let's look at Nolan Arenado.
Nolan Arenado? Okay, we'll look at that.
We'll see how old he is and how his decline started.
Can I compare him? All right.
I'm just curious what Arenado's numbers are.
I don't think he has good numbers this year. I haven't.
No, this year they're awful. My point is he's in decline. Arenado's a couple years older.
We'll look at Alex Bregman after this too. Let's just look at Nolan Arenado. All right.
I want to see what Arenado's numbers looked like when he was 25, 26.
I mean,
look at the OPS.
828, 898, 932, 959, 935, 962.
He did play in Colorado. That does help.
That definitely helps. But I mean, 2021 St. Louis 807, 891.
There we go. Now it's a decline.
774.
Look, he's 32.
Mm-hmm.
Look. Do you guys think Matt Chapman's better than Nolan Arenado? Look, guys. Look at age 32 and 33. Ping. There's your Matt Chapman coming, guys. Right there. You have no further to do is look at what Nolan Arenado at age 32 did. His numbers dropped significantly. Even though he hit 266, look at his OPS, 774. This year, 711. Okay. Nolan Arenado is on the downswing of his career. He's 33. He's going to be 34. Matt Chapman is going to play next year at 32. And you just signed the dude for 6 years.
He's here until he's 37.
Look at Scott Rowland, Heroku. Look, guys, this age is what's the saying? I just forgot it. Has no discrimination against age or whatever it is. Okay, let's look at Rowland's numbers at 25 through 32 and then beyond. Blow that up a little bit. Okay, Scott Rowland at age 25.
920 OPS, 876, 860, 910, 1000, 706, 887, 729.
Oh, look.
780, 823, 854, 676, and 716.
Yeah, the 850. Yeah, I mean, a lot of, yeah.
I mean, he had a good career, though.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. But, guys, players start to go downhill after 32, 33.
This is Alex Bregman. I mean, he's having a pretty good year this year. This is very similar to what Matt Chapman's done. Look at his 2024.
Yeah, 21 homers.
21 homers, 61 RBIs.
Same about OPS, same home runs roughly, same about RBIs, a little lower.
I want to compare him. I want to see if I can do that. Can I compare? Can I compare him for just this year, or does it have to be career?
You can do this year. I think.
How do I do that?
I don't know if you have to have. This is through StatCast.
Baseball Reference.
But you're using they're linked to StatCast.
I don't think it's linked to StatCast.
Or what was that stats you were pulling up? When you just
the Stat Head.
Stat Head. I meant Stat Head.
Yeah. Season. Okay, batting. Wait. All right, wait. You talk while I do this. I'm going to try to figure this out.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I see in the chat, Chapman will be washed up in 2 years. Exactly. You're gonna get 2 decent years like you're getting this year with Chapman. Okay. And you just basically handcuffed yourself for the last 3-4 years of this contract. Year 3 of this contract, Bora, he's going to be 33.
33.
Wait, 32 next year? No, he'll be 34.
34. Wow.
He's 30. He turns 32 on April 28th. Of course, Robert, my prediction for next year, Chapman will have his best offensive year. You know what, Robert? Why don't you make another prediction that the Giants will win the whole thing next year too? Robert, Robert, I want to make sure you're still have a little bit of reality left in you. Can you type in, Robert, I was wrong again this year? Or do you want me to do it for you? I was wrong once again. The Giants are not making the playoffs this year. Just, Robert, just type that in, and I will know that you're not a bot.
You're not a troll. Matt Chapman versus Alex Bregman this year. Chapman has him in the war just because of the defense.
Right.
But, I mean, if you don't look at the green, just look at the numbers. I mean, 21 homers to 22 homers, 61 RBIs to 69. Chapman has him in the stolen bases. Bregman has him in the batting average. Chapman has him by 17 points in on-base percentage. They're tied at slugging. Chapman has 16 points higher in the OPS and 6 points higher in OPS plus. They're offensively, they're very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
I wonder what it's going to get for Bregman to sign, because Bregman's a year young or 2 years younger.
Bregman's going to get the same.
You think Bregman's going to get 6 years, 151?
Who's his agent? Is it Boris?
Let's look.
I think it is. Doesn't Boris represent everybody? Yeah,
Scott Boras.
So that's his starting point.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go and say, look, the fence is not the same, but put Alex Bregman in a short porch down the left field line and he'll do well. He's a dead pull hitter.
Well, the Astros do have that, so
yeah. I'm still waiting for Robert.
Things worse than death asks Dan.
What do you think Mad Dog and Shasky will say about the Chapman extension? I think they will give praise for the player, but they'll be down on the years.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much what we've said.
Yeah, pretty much what we said. And they may throw in that, it's not enough for this team. This team is not Bregman has earned it. Marcus says Bregman's more of a clutch player, hitter. I'd much rather have Bregman at the plate with a game on the line than Chapman.
Would you rather have, for this, let's say they're both making $25 million, would you rather have Bregman or Chapman? Like for 1 year, just 1 year. Doesn't matter the contract size. For next year, if you had a team like the Dodgers had and you had to choose one, Bregman or Chapman, who would you pick?
Bregman's a world champion. He's come through in clutch situations.
You're choosing Bregman?
Well, because of that, he's a winner. He's won, and he's won it. And didn't he go to LSU and won there?
Maybe. I would choose Chapman.
Well, I don't think Chapman's a clutch player, and Bregman is clutch.
Bregman doesn't give you as much defensively.
No, but he's
or base
clutch.
running.
But he's a clutch player, man. That guy's made some clutch hits in his career.
That is true.
Robert, we're not being negative so much against Chapman. We're saying that Chapman's not the right fit for this team in the sense that they don't have enough around him.
It's really tough to be positive and optimistic about this team right now. It is really tough. Because not a lot's going for them. They have Chapman,
Alive nails it right there. Alive nails it. Yep. The back end of this is going to be brutal, guys. Look, you're going to have the worst years of Matt Chapman just when there might be hope for this team. Okay? You're going to have Matt Chapman dragging the team down with a $25 million contract at age 34, say 35, 36, 37, when the Giants actually might have some hope. Okay? The Giants have no hope going forward unless they do something
unless they pull off the impossible this offseason.
Yeah, they pull off the impossible offseason and they do land a Soto and they do land a Guerrero. Look, I would be all for that. I don't think Farhan has it in him. It's going to take – look, if Brian Sabian couldn't get the biggest free agents and the Giants were world championship teams, what makes you think that Farhan can go out and get these guys? Yeah, exactly, Marcus. Great point. His defense doesn't even matter when you don't score.
That is true.
I mean, look at Blake's. You guys realize this team we just went through the strikeout ratios of the players, and the Giants are the only team in the National League West. We didn't even look at Colorado, did we? We were getting there and we got sidetracked.
I looked at them. They're not great.
Okay, well, that's why they suck.
They're very similar to the Giants.
Okay, yeah, that's why they're just an awful organization. The Giants are lucky Colorado's in the division. I mean, seriously, the Giants, if they were in the National League West Central, they would,
They would
you're
be
lucky.
buried. They would be
You're lucky.
buried.
The Marlins are going to surpass the Giants in a couple of years. The Marlins were a playoff team last year, by the way, guys.
They didn't. A lot of their starting pitching has gone down. Alcantara was down this year with Tommy John. They lost Sixto Sanchez or he might be playing, but he was a highly touted prospect. They lost Trevor Rogers, who was good. Edwin Cabrera hasn't lived up to expectations. I'm pretty sure they lost Jesus Luzardo this year. They've lost a lot.
Yes,
I mean, they sold at the deadline. They got abundance of prospects.
Is Snell pitching tomorrow?
Let me look at that.
Shoot. I might give the Giants a chance, but they won't score.
Who's pitching for the D-backs is the most important question.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Merrill Kelly versus Blake Snell.
Oh, I think they can beat Merrill Kelly. He's been awful.
He's 4-0 though.
Yeah, but he gets beat up, didn't he? Didn't he give up those 3 home runs to the Dodgers to start the game? He was in the lineup.
That's the Dodgers, though. I'm gonna look up his stats against the Giants because I think
he's pitched well, but he's been hurt. But you know what? I need Blake Snell to pitch a gem tomorrow. Do I need it? Yeah.
Merrill Kelly is 7-5 with an ERA of 3.34.
He pitched well in the beginning of the season until he got hurt. He was one of the best pitchers in the game.
Against the Giants.
Oh, against the Giants, that's his stats. Okay. So, yeah.
I'm ready to go to bed, Dan.
Me too. I'll just close with this, guys. With Matt Chapman, here's the deal. You're going to have Matt Chapman when the Giants actually might have some potential to be good. And to answer your question, Robert, it's 3:50 a.m. where you're at.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. You said, Dan, if someone replaces Farhan, does that mean superstars will sign with the Giants? No. Look, I said it. They didn't even get superstars with Brian Sabian. It's tough to get players to come play in this park. It's just, it's just a thing. And it's, look, players talk, and that word, whether it's fair or not, it's reality to most players. And then players come here, and then they go, "Dang, it's kind of windy and cold, and it's not fun hitting when it's 58 degrees."
It's not fun getting shipped off in the middle of the season when you signed for 3 years.
Yeah, so I think the Giants end up, I think they're going to have a struggle to add significant pieces. The guys that do come here to come to the Giants are your mid-tier guys, mid to lower tier hitters. Top hitters, why do they want to come here? There's
the team isn't good. It's hard to hit here. The front office isn't good. I mean, there's so many reasons why someone would not want to come here rather than why someone would want to come here.
Yeah. It's just we never go over 3 hours anymore, but we did tonight simply because you guys stayed with us. You were here, and a lot of talk about Chapman. George says, final thought, Sabian once said that he did not sign Vlad Sr. because he would not been able to sign the 4 to 5 mediocre players he did sign. Giants never been in the market for anyone star besides Bonds. True. I mean, it's Giants, but Sabian was a crafty guy and knew how to build a team that fit around Buster Posey, and he had enough guys, and most of them were homegrown, and then he fit around them.
And who fit the Giants ballpark too.
Right, and fit the ballpark, the type of hitters, and they had great pitching that they was home. 3 of their big stars, starting pitchers were homegrown. So that's what the Giants-
roster building is very tough.
It is.
I mean, if you look at the Yankees, they have the 2 stars, but then everyone after that pretty much is below average. It's really hard to build a roster of 26 guys who are valuable and contributors to a team. I mean, you're gonna have some players that just are not great and that are just roster fill-ins.
Right, great point. Roster building is tough, guys. Roster building,
But not for you.
you got to know how to build a roster, guys. There it is. The latest update standings. Dodger Dan domination. Still at top. Can I hold on? I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I'm going to try. So, roster building. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10:30, I think. Let me double check my schedule. Make sure I don't have another appointment for what I really do. No, I'm good for tomorrow. 10:30 in just about 9.5 hours. Morning game plan. Or is that? Yeah, about 9.5 hours. Morning game plan. We'll be back here talking whatever's happening. 49ers, Giants, Warriors, national news. We'll talk about it tomorrow, 10:30. And then tomorrow night, guys, do not forget, you got to join, you got to watch as Dave Dravecki tomorrow, Thursday night, 6:30. Giants play at 12:45. Game will be over. We'll come on at 6:30. Join us with Dave Dravecki, guys. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. We're your go-to place for NorCal Sports Network. We got you covered. Giants, 49ers, Warriors, the number one place to be. Have a great night, everybody.